Record. Okay, so we're about to start on chapter 6, the second to the last chapter of the book, The Majesty of Calmness. We've been mastering how to own our own power, how to find our voice, how to stand for our convictions from this place of ultimate control. You know, the only person you can control is the person in the mirror, is yourself. We cannot control all the circumstances. We can try and we can succeed in some, but we cannot control all the circumstances around us. And you know, one thing we most definitely cannot control: the people, the adults around us, we cannot control. We can influence, which we saw in chapter 3, the power of influence. We face every day the assault of this world's pace, which is the chapter on hurry, which was the second chapter, and to say this is what the world will have you do, this is what society, corporate space. But if you are coming from a place of mastery of yourself and of your purpose and your design, you will be able to surmount the pull and the stress of this world that is not a part of your journey. We went further to study the dignity of self-reliance, which is that you, by yourself, with yourself, you are able to steer the circumstances of your life through faith. Through listening to the one from whom you receive guidance, you can co-create with God to change the circumstances of your life, to go after any goal, to drive change in your life. I loved it so much. And now we're going to the mindset with which we approach our lives and the spaces we want to go to, which is doing our best at all times. The final chapter, we talk about the royal road to happiness, because a lot of times after we have finished mastering what is within and owning our authenticity, how do we then impact the world around us? And do we know that our happiness is tied to that? Many times we don't. It's not just about doing good. It's about you receiving the good that you put out there in the world. So today, doing our best at all times. Let me share the screen with you. If you're excited to hear about this chapter, can I see you in the chat? Because I ain't seeing you in the chat yet. I do want to see you in the chat. Go ahead and put it, your fire emoji, and all these great things. Okay. Did someone already tell somebody else Merry Christmas? Nobody has told me Merry Christmas yet. Sorry, we're doing this 2 days after Christmas. I want to feel the Christmas energy. You know, Jesus came, he was born, he changed our lives and all this great stuff. Can I see you? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
I love it so much. Hope you had a great one. Okay. Now we're together. All right. This very first, so you guys know how we do. I take it one paragraph at a time. And this very first paragraph, it really just dived into identifying the issues. That's only the beginning. You know, it's almost like he started philosophizing at this part, looking at what is this life? Have you ever sat down and pondered life? And by the time you stood, people were like, is everything okay? Because sometimes life, when you say life be life, and you're just saying this life is so complex, sometimes it just feels like a quagmire. It's a wondrously complex problem. I call this issue for the individual until someday, in a moment of illumination, she awakens to the great realization that she can make it simple. It's not really even that hard. It's not. Never quite completely simple, but always simpler. There are 1,000 mysteries of right and wrong. I mean, think about all the books, even picking the Bible. If you say the Bible is my guide, have you ever thought that there are 66 books in that thing? Then even if you say, okay, I'm a new creation, I'm only in New Testament, there are still, how many books? 20, how many? My Bible scholars put it in the chat. I'm thinking 23, 27, but I may be wrong. Put it in the chat. There are also those many books. Which one are you taking? Which one are you not taking? Any one that anybody takes, they're right. So these things have baffled wise men of the ages. Their depths in great fundamental questions of the human race that no plummet of philosophy has ever sounded. There are some things people have still not answered. Have your children ever asked you questions sometimes? Even you are just like, God, please come and answer by yourself, because How am I supposed to know these things? There are wild cries of honest hunger for truth. I know many times people are like, what are people looking for in this world? People are dabbling into things they're not supposed to be dabbling in. But the human mind, the human spirit, soul is designed to seek for. Even if you say, okay, who I'm seeking for is God, even after you have God in quote, you still want to understand, you still want to know. Truth that seek to pierce the silence beyond the grave, but to them ever echo back only a repetition of their unanswered cries. You guys know me, I love Shakespeare. All my book lovers in the chat, holla. It's just saying that the more you ask, the more you don't know. They said that people with bachelors, they feel like they know stuff. Masters, they feel like they are masters. But by the time you have your PhD, you realize that you know nothing, Jon Snow, like you don't know anything. You now start respecting. Now, after you've asked these questions, you're wondering, what is my purpose? Because a lot of times, especially if you're approaching 40 or you're around 40, between 40 and 60, that is the age of legacy. There is, how many of you have heard of the Erickson's 8 stages of development? When you're in the 40 to 60 range, you start to realize that, will this world ever realize I was here? I want to leave something beyond myself. I don't just want to eat, pay the mortgage, or pay my bills, buy my house, and train my children in school, and that be that. You start to have this pull. It is a biological, physiological, psychological construct that is true. We all want that. Now, some people don't want what you want, but we still want the world to know. The problem is that many times we're still at the bottom layer of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So if you don't yet have food to eat and shelter or clothes for your body, then you remain there. But once you get that, you're always thinking, what's next? Okay. So I put this here. If you stop at just articulating the problem, all you have is an echo. I don't know what you're questioning in your life right now. I don't know what your heart is yearning for, your spirit is yearning for, in that, even though you're doing the motions, you know that within yourself, okay, I still have a lot of questions. I'm still unsure about the path my life is supposed to take. All right. So going into the second chapter, it starts to say, if the more you question sometimes, there's a despair that can darken your horizon and paralyze our effort. Have you seen people that it looks like when we were younger, if you looked at adults, depending on the kind of adults you were surrounded by, the ones that used to look like deep thinkers, the ones we call intelligent and all these things, they are shy. There's one kind of darkness around, when I say darkness, like cloudiness around them. And sometimes it can even paralyze because the contemplation is so much. And we call it wisdom. We say it's experience. Don't worry, when you grow, sometimes if you've been married like a decade to, you see somebody, young, love, everything is sweet, you'll be like, don't worry, you'll soon calm down. Why? Why is anybody calming down? No need. So we start to ask these questions. And philosophy can be a maze where the understanding within itself is futile. The more you try to understand, the less you can. There will always be what? The unexplained. There will always be the unresolved. Always, always. Why? I mean, put in chat any question you've had. I remember when I was growing up and I first got, I think maybe like 12 years old or so. And I will ask this question repeatedly, and the adults around me really couldn't. I used to be like, so who gave birth to God? Till now, I don't know. I don't know how I still arrived at the place where I'm able to accept. Because my intellectual mind, every day, my intellectual mind is telling me that this thing don't make sense. There's not a God. Okay, who now born the God? And when did the God now? And how did the God now? So even when children ask me, I'm able to empathize. And you might be wondering, how does this relate to doing our best at all times? I'll tell you. When you've asked all these questions in the world, you know, if the devil had any tool, first of all, he doesn't have any tool, but if he had any tool that he could hold and latch onto, is the ceaselessness of the intellect. This mind is a maze. It doesn't stop churning. Okay, this business, will it work? What about this one? And you analyze it to paralysis. There's a reason that thing is there. Analysis paralysis. You ask all these questions. The more you ask, the more it weakens. So what are you to do? Stop thinking? The mind is not something you can't just, plug it on and off. So what are we to do? Okay, let me keep sharing. I'm seeing a layout I want to try. Let me see. This is so good. Okay. Can you all still see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, now it's side by side. I'm so proud of Zoom. Before it used to be only, what do you call this one? StreamYard that had this. Okay. So coming back, why should life be as it is? Why should some people starve, others feast? Why does virtue languish? I mean, somebody's doing the best. That girl, I knew her from secondary school. She's always done the best, tried to this. Why is she the one that's suffering? This life is not fair. Why is it at my office, I've been doing this, doing that? This new person just came, they just gave this. Why is it that success that comes from trickery and dishonor is greeted with the world's applause? Look at those politicians stealing money, deceiving people, yet they still keep getting elected. How is it that grief is going to happen to this home that they're so good, and then somebody else, worthless encumbrance? These are, we have old English, of another is spared. Why is there so much unnecessary pain, sorrow, suffering in the world? Why indeed should there be any? And he spends the time in these 2 chapters establishing that there is futility in much knowledge if the knowledge just stops at the articulation of the problem. There's no end to it. Again, I'll go back to what Cindy Trim said. If there's to be a change, it is to be me. If there's to be a difference, I'm the one. Hold me responsible. If there's a problem in this world, hold me responsible. So I will hold you as well. I'll hold myself. Why? Because neither philosophy nor religion can give any final satisfactory answer that is capable of logical demonstration. My children have told me before to show them God. At some point, you have to stop with the, Christianese and come down to their level. Oh, God is everywhere. Even me, I'm God. I'm made in the image of God. And you have to say the truth is we can't prove God the way you see your friend. We can't prove him like that. There has to be an element of faith in your heart. There has to be that element. Because in this world, logical, what we call logic, means that it is in the premise of men. You cannot finish explaining in the premise of men. If you say that, oh, but this person was healed. Even the devil used to heal people too. When I say the devil, there are other powers in this world that can. The logical demonstration, absolute proof. What is absolute proof? It means that this thing is repeatable. This thing is rigorously tested in the laboratories of men, right? Not in the laboratory of God. And even after the best explanation, there's a residuum of the unexplained. So we should now just, oh, you're safe. Just fall into the arms of faith and just say, I will not. Somebody put this in the chat. This is a choice. At some point in your life, you have to stop wondering, why did that person leave me? Why did that job fire me? Why did that business fail? Why is my faith shaking? Why do I not have money? I was diligent. I saved. I did all these things. Why is it that this life is not straightforward? I want to be a soft girl, a baby girl in my life. Why does this seem to elude me? Put it in the chat. I will not be disconcerted by these problems of life. It's not me. Because when they said Isaac sowed, is it Isaac that sowed in the land? He said God told him to stay there. I don't understand. This land is not working. What are you talking about? I can show you the statistics. I can show you the science. I can show you the research, the weather, the climate. It doesn't look like something that can work. So I will not be disconcerted by these problems of life. Abraham, what's going on? Sarah is too old. Abraham said, God, I know you don't fully understand. You're not on this side of eternity. There's this thing called menopause that happens to women. I know you design people, but maybe because of sin, you don't really know. The world just started falling. So there's this thing called menopause, and it's not going to allow Sarah to have a baby again. Let me help you. He said, I will not be disconcerted by the problems of life. I will not permit them to plunge me into doubt and to cloud my life with vagueness and uncertainty. I don't know. We don't know. We're just going to try anyhow. We don't know. We don't fully. It said, you arrogate much to yourself when you demand from God the full solution of all his mysteries. Like, who do you really think if God explained to you, you could fully grasp it? We see in parts. It's we that see in parts. It's not that God didn't reveal himself, but we see in part. We don't know that person that left us, what they were going through at that stage of their life. We don't know if that company that fired us, if it was going to pack up next year and we were supposed to launch into our own business. We don't know. Even if they told you all, you would think sometimes, your imagination has run wild. You don't know. You don't know. When Paul said, was it Paul or was it Peter that talked about birds in the sky, where people say now that he was referring to airplanes. He didn't have the language to use to explain it. The man who first started talking about Wi-Fi, when he said that a time will come that me and you will be able to see each other, even though you are a world apart, you're in Australia and here, we'll be able to see each other and just talk face to face, real time. They said that his friends bundled him and took him to the psychiatric ward. Because you can't be well. If I tell you now that, in the next 50 years, if I want to go home to Nigeria, I will just shut my eyes and appear there. You'll be like, Auntie, calm down. Why? Because we haven't yet seen that level of technology. So what Adeola just spoke about, that thing that lets you think that, okay, it's imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's ego. And it's ego that says, till I understand how this whole thing is mapped out, I will not go into it. Till I know exactly how this business will fare, till I know exactly how this child will be, I will not conceive. It's an arrogation of importance. I won't say importance because you're really important, but it's an arrogation of deity that you don't have. You're not God. You're not omnipotent. You're not omnipresent. You're not omniscient. He said, I will found. This is your choice. You are the one making this choice now. And in this moment, this is a commitment I would have us all make. This is the very first step to living your life the best as you know how. This is the very commitment. Before we even start to enter all the things, this is the author saying to you that I do understand that we don't have the full picture. But again, I'll go back to what Jesus said. Knowing this now, what manner of men ought we to be? Knowing that we cannot understand fully the scope of all life's problem, what manner of people are we to be? I will found my life on the impregnable rock of a simple fundamental truth. That this glorious creation, now that we know this creation of complexity, complex dimensions, that there's this green substance in a plant that attracts light and something now changes in it, digests carbon dioxide, releases oxygen, such complex dimensions. It must have a creator. So the first thing you know is that there's a God. There's something my husband used to say, when I travel sometimes he would say he misses me. I'll be like, but if I were home now, I'm sure you would be in the room. I'll be in the living room or something. Now it's like, yeah, I just want to know you're somewhere in the house. I just want to just feel that somewhere around you are. You know how you feel when you know that there's a parent in the house when you were younger. If you used to be as scared as I used to be when I was younger, I just needed to know that there was somebody else in the house. I could be in a room by myself, but is there somebody else in the house? There's a God in this world. But you see, that God cannot injustice, and when they say injustice, by law, because God holds himself to the words that he has spoken, the laws, when it's a seed time and harvest, all those kind of laws he has put in place, he holds himself to them. It's like he cannot demand of any creature more than the best that the individual can give. I mean, think about it. So if anything comes to your doorstep, the mindset is that if it has come to me, I can handle it. You know, there's this prayer. It's not a prayer. It's a sophisticated way we complain to God. I can't handle this. I can't handle this. It's too much for me. If you've ever said that, please put it in the chat. It's too much for me. And God say, just one small accident she has. Our bumper is down. There are people without hands and without legs that are impacting the world, learning how to drive. They were born without hands. They were born without legs. It's too much. They said that injustice, God cannot give to one person more than the person can handle. Are you seeing the mindset choice? This is the choice. If I were God, if I did not even pity for anybody else in this world, at least I'll pity for my son, Jesus. Jesus said, God, is there any way? Wait, be say, this cross, do I really have to face it? Go to it. And God said, you are capable. It's me that added that part to the Bible. What did God even say? I don't think he said anything. Jesus by himself complained. Jesus by himself consoled himself. You people, that's what you should do. Because he has already said from the beginning. So you by yourself, after you have said, it's too much for me, you should not go back and say, I can do this. I think I say that more than I say most things, even to my children. I can do this. We can do this. We do hard things. I can do this. So if I have determined in my life that there are situations I cannot explain, there are things I don't fully understand, or I don't know what the future holds, and then that there is a God and he watches over the affairs of men, and that whatever has fallen my lot, whatever circumstances I'm facing, whatever promotion, because that's where imposter syndrome comes in, is like the fear of success, not just the fear of failure. Whether it's success, whether it's failure I'm facing, I am able to handle it. In his justice, that's what he has determined. So if you know these things, what do you then say? You go to the manifesto. Ladies, wherever you are, I want you to say these words after me. If you're watching the replay, say these words after me because it matters. It matters that at some point in your life, you commit to doing the best you can by the light that you have. This is the moment of choice. What will you choose? Will you choose to be paralyzed, or will you choose to act? That is what we're determining here today. So as early as the third paragraph, he's having you do that. I will do each day in every moment the best I can by the light I have. So you don't know everything. What can you do? The best I can by the light I have. The best I can by the light I have. So the light I have, that is the knowledge I currently have. How do they greet kings? The way they trained me, you are greeting an elder, you bow your head, you shake hand, or you genuflect, whatever it is you've learned. If I meet the king of where? Buckingham Palace, I might not know every single rule. I might not know every single rule of the kingdom. I might not know that, oh, you're supposed to curtsy with your left foot or with your right or pirouette or whatever. But by the light I have, he's going to observe that there was respect and there was honor to what I'm doing. By the light that you have. They're not saying do what you don't know how to do. No, do the best you can by the light that you have. Right now, I know in my business, I'm supposed to be calling people, making new contacts, attending industry conferences by the light that you have. By the light that you have. Do each day In every moment, this is so key, and you'll be seeing it more as we're going. The best that you can by the light that you have. If you haven't already brought out your jotter, did I say jotter? What's happening? Who is pulling this primary schoolness out of me? Joe, what? Your journal. If you haven't already pulled out your journal, we're about to start writing, because since you have been thinking things, I wanted you to go deep into your thought. Now we're going to start mastering our manifesto, because you have made your manifesto. You have made your manifesto. The first one is that the problems of life, I will not be disconcerted by them. I will not permit them to plug me into uncertainty. Now, going further, what are you going to say? I will do each day, in every moment, the best by the light I have. Number one, knowledge. Number one, knowledge. Well, our knowledge, we don't lock it up and put it on the shelf. Our knowledge is the practical, is what informs the practice of our lives, is what involves, invokes how we show up, is what invokes our decisions. So we don't keep knowledge like, when you study fossils or fossil fuel, maybe you are not using that knowledge every day, but something that we don't just put it on the shelf. Even that fossil fuel one, if it calls for that, I will pull that knowledge off the shelf. The best you can by the light you have. The second one, revelation. Revelation. It's not enough to just seek knowledge. And if you grew up in amongst the tiger moms and those education-rich or theory-rich environments, you're taught more of theories and less of practical. But what did he say here? And you're the one saying this now, because this is your manifesto. You will ever seek more light. That's why you're here today. That's why I always celebrate women, men who go for personal development. How can I do better, be better, have better? Ever seek more light, more perfect illumination of truth. You may already know that, what example can we even use? You may already know, okay, God is love. What does illumination mean? It's what Peter was doing when he was asking Jesus, how many times should we forgive somebody? He already knew we're supposed to forgive. He even now gave Jairus, he said maybe 7 times. And Jesus now went further. That's a revelation. 70 times 7, and on and on. That is revelation. More perfect illumination of truth. More perfect illumination. This is why you get coaching. This is why you study your Bible. This is why you ask experts. You have a mentor. You consult with people. That's number 2, revelation, because this is how you can do your best at all times. Number 3, action. Action. Our knowledge is not dormant. Our knowledge is not potential energy. No, we put it to work through action. I will ever live as best I can in harmony with the truth as I see it. As I see it, this is so key, because I always want people to know it doesn't mean you will do it to the standard of the people you're involved in with or the society you're in. It just means that you see me, you can trust me, that I'm going to do the best I can. This is why many times when I'm coaching people, what I talk to them about is aligning with your best self. Don't bring your lower self in the room. Because why do you even still have a lower self? You know better, we do better. You know better, we do better. That's what we do. In alignment, action and alignment. I will always act as best as I know how. This is why you say the wrong thing and you say, no, I actually meant to say this. You are realigning yourself. That's number 3. And the fourth one, I called it adversity response. Because if failure come, I will meet it bravely. Oh, it didn't work. Wow. Okay, so there's this experiment. I don't know if I shared this story before, but there's this experiment about starting a farm that I started. So myself and my young uncle, he's younger than me, we're starting this pepper farm, because I like, let's plant something. We have lands that are just lying dormant. Okay, let's plant what's good to plant this time of year? He said pepper. So we set up the nursery. We have a group and everything. Me and him, we put the pictures. It's so beautiful. If you ever want to inspire yourself and to feel like life is coursing through your veins, plant something. There's something about growing life that it inspires something in you. I don't know what it is. But if failure comes, I'll meet it bravely. That's how, after we have done this, our seedlings. First of all, price of seed became so crazy in our wonderful country, Nigeria. Well, for me, I'm Nigerian. So we started planting these things. I'm not in Nigeria, so I'm living vicariously through him, sending me pictures. We're looking at the soil, we're looking at the ground, trying to gauge, okay, where does water, where does flooding? We're planning for everything we can imagine. Should I tell you what we didn't plan for? Let me stop sharing because this gist, if I gist you, you're not going to believe it. My sisters, that's how one day he came and said that, look at the seedlings, because we had this box. We were planting it in boxes, even though they were building the heaps. So to give you context, we have over 2,000 heaps where we were going to, we did the nursery first for the peppers, and we're going to transplant the peppers into the heaps so that they grow from there. A madman or somebody who is mentally challenged happened upon our farm. You need to understand, this farm is not in the city. A madman came and he set fire to our seedlings. Brethren, what do you have to say about that? Somebody tell me what knowledge and revelation I could have used. I need somebody to unmute because I'm still needing consolation. Unmute, and tell me, sorry. Because the only thing I could do was laugh. Like, how do you plan for that? Remember the first paragraph we read and the second paragraph. I'm already calculating, okay, the bags, how much do they sell per pound of pepper? Okay, our very next phase, by March, this should have grown. So our next phase, we're going to this. In my mind, I'm projecting. In my mind, I've dotted all the I's, crossed all the T's. Questions I didn't ever think. I like how Lola and Adeola are looking at me. They don't even want to tell me sorry. That's how life is. I will face failure bravely. Isn't that what they said? If failure comes, I will meet it bravely. You sent in that application, it came out, it got rejected. If failure comes, I will meet it bravely. That's why people who try multiple times at the same thing, I give them major kudos. They're heroes in my book because if something doesn't work the first time, normal conventional wisdom is that it's insanity to keep doing the same thing over and over again. And we feel so wise when we say that. But no, remember when we read chapter 1, it said, we go again, we go again, we go again. If you're applying for your citizenship or you're applying for, you don't stop applying. You don't say, oh, if that's where you live, that's where your family is, there's no other way to not apply. Okay, you can change some words, you can whatever, but you're applying. That's it. That's it. If failure comes, I will meet it bravely. So I'm so glad. Of course, these are some things I've been sharing with, my partner, my young uncle, and he's like, this farm, we're going to plant it. He said, don't worry. We still have about 30% of the seedlings left. Before you woke up, I already went to check on some places we could get stuff from. Do you see the mindset of the happy? Do you see that? It was so beautiful to see. If failure comes, I'll meet it bravely. This is the key word. You're going to meet failure whether or not you decide you're going to be brave about it. No, failure is bravery is a decision. Courage is that decision you make that makes you show up as brave. You will meet it bravely. Doesn't mean you may not be devastated. You will meet it bravely. I call that one adversity response. Our adversity response is bravery. Is bravery. Somebody put in the chat what bravery looks like to you. What is bravery to you? For me, bravery just means you get back up. If you like, be crawling. If you like, just be walking. Other marathoners have run, they've passed it, no problem. I'm still coming at the back. If you like, be walking. That's bravery to me. Okay, thank you so much for sharing this, Adele. I said, going ahead, even when you're afraid. Yes. I'm going to say bravery is to keep going. And then, if my pathway then lie in the shadow of trial, sorrow, and suffering, I shall have the restful peace and calm strength of one who has done her best. I put it here, spiritual state. The state of your spirit, it impacts upon your soul. If your spirit is a nurturing strength, and I will always remind people, the source of strength is joy. It says the joy of the Lord is your strength. The source of strength is joy. If you have peace and strength as your anchors, that's the spiritual state that allows you to do your best at all times, in times of greatness, in times of trials, in times of sorrow. Because I don't know whose pathway does not lie in the shadow of trial, sorrow, and suffering. People admire doctors, especially in the US. They say that they earn like $1 million every year. And that's how they now say, why should they pay these people so much? The rest of us went to school too. They say shadow of trial, sorrow, and suffering. That's what they had to go through. There is no path that is worthwhile. When you think of the challenges of people like Jeff Bezos, you think of the challenges of people like Elon Musk, of Oprah Winfrey, anybody you admire and respect, we can trace their journey. There was trial, there was sorrow, there was suffering. Trace their journeys. And what else? People who can look back. I call that one future forward. The person who's doing their best at all times. And let's just call that person the hero. The heroine, the hero. If you watch my TED Talk, I talked about the person who has agency. This part is agency. When you take personal responsibility for where you are at any point in your life and you make yourself the agent of change for that thing. Somebody who can look back upon the past with no pang of regret. It don't happen now. Like, it has already happened. You're already married now, you have 3 children. Why are you still regretting that you dated that guy in college? Like, it has happened. You don't look back with any pang of regret. And who has heroic courage in facing the results, whatever they be, knowing that you could not make them any different. Have you ever tried your best at something and you still failed? I hope you were able to give yourself a pat on your back and say, babe, you shall try. You try, because you didn't know. You didn't know any better. If you knew anything else you could have done, guess what? You would have done it. If you knew anything else you could have done, you would have done it. So why? Why then still have any regret? That's what it be. That's what it be. Sorry, you guys. My pigeon. There are some places English don't work no more. I gotta go for the pigeon. Oh my word. How's it going for you, ladies? Deep in thought. You know that thinking sculpture. Yes. That is like this, that man thinking. Often, I used to think of that man. Because sometimes when my brain, they work, is working like fire. Sometimes they go where I don't know. It's carrying me to where I don't know. I'm just like, mind, come back. You have reasoned enough today. Come back and rest. Now, on this paragraph 4, it talks about how this is the foundation. We just went through our manifesto. Upon this life plan, upon this foundation of what? Those of you who have been writing, put it on the chat. Knowledge, revelation, action. Aligned action, not just action. Action. Adversity response. A spiritual state of peace and strength. Peace and strength. And the final one, a future forwardness, a very futuristic outlook. You could call it visionary. If you have that life plan, Upon this foundation, you can erect any superstructure of any faith or philosophy that you can conscientiously erect. That means you can diligently, you can with morality, goodness for yourself and for the world, erect. And so you should add to your equipment for living every strength, every shred of strength and inspiration, moral, mental, or spiritual, that is in your power to secure. Have you ever had a goal? When you really have a goal, everything you listen to, you filter through this goal. When I had the framework for my coaching program, for those of you who've been in my coaching program, you know we talk about agency, boundaries, and conviction. And my book is literally here as well. Well, one of my books, A Tale of Two Wives. That's the framework I use. Anything I'm reading now, I filter. I don't try to. I inadvertently do so. I filter it through agency, boundaries, and conviction. So, what is it for you? Have you decided to start a charity home? Have you decided to start this $1 billion business? Have you decided to have this career? Whatever you listen to is supposed to add as a building block to that structure. The simple working faith is opposed to no creed. Yes, it's a substitute for none, but a primary belief, a citadel, a refuge where the individual can retire for strength when the battle of life goes hard. I don't know, maybe I've been seeing this thing as a running thread and you're thinking to yourself, like, should it be this serious? Like, are we anticipating life to be serious or too hard? I want to assure you, if you're going to venture anything worthwhile, if you're going to venture to make a difference in this world, even in your life, the battle of life will grow hard because you've never broken that ground before. When you go to places like Arizona, you go to some part of San Antonio, and you see that it is literal rock. I think some places, and if you think of any rocky, hilly area, my God, it's not this one that in Texas you could just dig, or in Houston area you could just dig. There's water everywhere. This one, you have to literally use a quarry. What do they call that thing? To break through rock. So if you're charting any course in life, which is going where no one else has ever been, or in a way they've never been, you're going to face, it's going to grow hard. You're going to get to a layer. Even the people who drill, that's why they need geologists to understand the kind of rocks, the kind of formation that this drill will have to go through so they can design the right type for it. So if you see oil drilling, the price is not the same everywhere. The price is determined by the topography of the area. When I say the price, I don't mean the barrel of oil, but the cost of actually reaching the oil. So what is that big dream you have? The bigger the dream, the more impactful. I don't just mean in terms of money now, but the more life-changing it is. The battle of life will grow hard. Okay? So here I said, there's something we have to keep adding, strength. You have to keep adding strength. What does that look like for you? Where do you get your strength from? If Sunday service is your thing, you really get strength from there. If reading is your thing, if having a coach is what keeps adding this strength, inspiration, retreat. If you have a cycle in your life, a source of strength, inspiration, I retreat because you will need refuge to just go recoup, to go replenish, to recover. If you have these three things, you'll keep on the path. Okay? Now, going further, this part, it really is just focused on this thing about theory. Why is theory not enough? This is the reason. It's a theory is just about as useful to a person who is starving. You're starving at sea, on a raft in mid-ocean. Somebody now gave you the most fabulous menu card. Have you seen those menu cards now that they give you at events? Yeah, like, I know you designed it. I know you even put a picture of the food. All you're doing is making me hungrier. I still don't have my food. Give me my food. That's what theory is. I know this because I used to be this person, a gatherer of knowledge and theory, but impotent in the application of it. Remember what we said about the tortoise and the giraffe? Perspective of what you see. If the giraffe can even see very far, but they don't go to get the food that they want, he's still as impotent as the tortoise on the ground. In fact, if the tortoise is able to look from that very low perspective and see some food and is able to crawl to it, they are more effective in life than that giraffe who can see but has not yet thought in his head, I should start moving these my long legs to go and get that thing which I want. That's what a theory is. No rule, no instruction. Oh my gosh, Rema. If you hear it, have you read this book? If you are near me, you will hear that quite often. Have you read this book? Have you seen that movie? Jesus. It will never help you except you reach out and appropriate it for yourself. Okay, Mary had Jesus, and Jesus was, then the angel visited Joseph. And is it a story? Is it just sweet in the ear to hear? Because if you were to appropriate it for yourself, you would look at that story normally again. Every day you read that story, your heart will be beating for Mary. It is the equivalent of you saying that God said that He will give you money, make you so rich. And then IRS will now come and be asking, where did you get these billions from? You now say, there's a room in my house. God said I will just be raining the money. Like, put it in context of your life, whatever it is going on. And then appropriate for yourself. Okay, what does be it unto me according to that word? That thing that Mary said to God or to the angel. What does that look like in my life? What is it in my life right now that if people knew, they would talk? If it really happens like this, in fact, it's not just that people will talk, it's that I stand in danger of losing the people closest to me. God didn't even tell her. The angel didn't even say, oh, we'll speak to Joseph, and Joseph will not come to believe you, and you will still marry him. He didn't even explain all that part until you reach out and appropriate it for yourself, until you make it practical in your daily life, until that seed of theory in your mind blossoms into 1,000 flowers of thought and word and act. Because whatever has entered your mind, it's in thought form, it'll eventually enter your lips in word form, and you will start to act it. You've heard about how thoughts become habits, habits become lives. You've heard about all those things. This is how it grows. So, number one, reach out and hold it. First of all, agree that this thing is true. And then appropriate it to yourself. What does this look like for me? If you've been doing the workbooks, let me see you in the chat. Lift up your hands and all these things. Because that is the process of appropriating it for yourself. Right now, you may be looking at me, you'll even be nodding, you will be remembering gist. How many of you, sometimes you've been in church, they're pretty, and you're just like, that wicked woman, she'll be hearing this thing. You can't think, how is this relevant to me? And it's hard because our minds avoid pain as a pathway. It's a good thing. It's a good thing, except it starts to derail us, and then we should bring our mind back to it. Our minds avoid work, pain, especially when it cannot see that it is a path to success. It's just like bathing, for example. I don't think bathing is something anybody would naturally like to do, except it makes us comfortable. And then we know when we go out, we'll be smelling nice. And that is the happiness that relates to this part that now makes us do that work of scrubbing. If you are like me, people say, why are you taking so long in that bathroom? Because everywhere must be clean. When I finish bathing, let me tell you people, I do a test. I do like this. It makes me laugh. I think when my husband first said, it's like, do you just scratch yourself for fun? Like you just like scratching yourself? I do like that. I want to see, is there still dirt left? That's why when people have foam sponge, I'm like, what is that in scrubbing? I want to scrub it. When I do my body like this and I look at my finger, there's no brown thing in my finger. Scrub it. Scrub that body. So now, why is all that work necessary? Because of how it makes me feel, because of how it appears. Thought that becomes words, that becomes actions. Sometimes we even have these thoughts in our head, but we stop ourselves from using them because we're just like, I don't want to sound too much. I don't really want to, nah, not us. Tell somebody, say, not me, not me. Allow it to influence you. That's what this last phrase is. It's okay to have the knowledge. It's okay to even apply it a little bit in writing form. I will. But allow it to influence you. Allow it to influence the way you speak. Allow it to influence the way you act. This truth that you are receiving, whatever truth you receive. If they say, okay, the best way to prepare this thing is to leave it in the microwave for 2 minutes, stand it for 30 seconds. Allow it to influence. They say, they do too much. No, allow yourself to follow the rule, the instruction. Allow yourself. In As a Man Thinketh, James Allen said something. He said, act is the blossom of thought. That means that the thought that is in your mind, if you leave it there long enough and the thing concentrates, it becomes your action. So sometimes don't even try to do it mechanically on the outside. Focus on the inside. As you let it stay there, as that thought keeps increasing in intensity, that's why it's called vibrations, is something that your body starts to resonate with. It's a truth that your body starts to resonate with. I'm loved by God. God loves me. God loves me. God loves me. And next time somebody speaks rudely to you, you don't feel like, oh, okay, I've been rejected or something. It is a truth that starts to apply to everything in your life. You just start to appropriate it. You just start to appropriate it. And the more you dwell on it, the more you meditate on it, it starts to affect your words, it starts to affect your action. Okay? From mere theory to meaningful practice. That's paragraph 5. From mere theory to meaningful practice. Okay. We're going to 6 now. And in paragraph 6, we're talking now about intentionality. About intentionality. And I think I've had conversations with a couple of you about this part, because it's one thing to know and it's another to apply. Are we willing to apply that which we know? There are many things that stand in the way of your apply. I know this way is better, but I know this thing is better, but the intentionality. Intentionality is your commitment to doing what you know is best. Now, realize that if you honestly seek to live your best at all times, that determination is visible in every moment of your living. Simple, full stop, underline, that's all. That determination is visible on how you keep your cup on the table, on how you speak to your neighbor, on how you drive your car, on how you present from the stages. It is a determination. Hence, what? No trifle in your life can be too insignificant to reflect your principle of living. Why? Because you see this sun, the way the sun shines on a tiny leaf by the roadside that just fell off the tree is the same way it is shining on the mountains. That's the example he gave here. Every drop of water. I remember when I first started working in the chemical industry, everything they would ask for composition. When you're studying just chemistry, you usually stay within maybe 4 words, or you're the one who mixes the fractions of the chemical. This one, you're testing how much water is there, how much of this chemical element is there, how much of this chemical is there. You're looking at all those things. But every drop that you do, if you use a droplet, if it's a mixture, a solution rather, if you pick a drop from there, that one drop has the exact same ratio, 20%, 10%, 1% of what you said the composition of this whole substance is. There's no difference. You cannot be that person who you speak to this person differently than you speak to this person. Now, I'm not saying culturally the way you speak to a child is not the same way you speak to the adult, but the same motive, the same mindset, the same everything you want to communicate will be the same across board. If you're a love being, you cannot but speak love. No matter how humble, I think this part, it goes to talk about how you live your everyday life. No matter how humble your calling, how uninteresting or dull the round of his duties, you should do your best. You cannot wash your toilet any less excellently than you will give a presentation. If you're going to do it best. Just do it the best way you know how. Now, one person might do it better than you, but for you, there's nothing you could have added to it within the time frame you had, by the energy that you had, that you wouldn't do your best. You should dignify what you're doing by the mind you put to it. You should vitalize what little you have of power or energy or ability or opportunity. You see how it's listing everything? Because you might have just a 5-minute opportunity to speak. It's not 1 hour, but how will you still deliver it? Will it still have the same composition as your 1 hour talk? I don't know why I'm going to presentation so much today, but I sense that many of you in here, you're leaders. And he did use an example about communication, so I will come to it. It is the same way you should speak in order to prepare yourself. This is the reason. This is the reason you're doing it. When I started my podcast, the Stellify podcast, one of the things I used to talk about was that I want people to level up so that they can maximize. Let's not, if we're still playing down here, you say, I know this much, but you're still not operating there. How do you want to go higher? It's hard because you're not already living to the level that you know. Let me use the example that this came to my mind. I think I was in primary 3 or maybe primary 4 when my teacher came to teach, and my teacher said this TH sound. So mother, father, mention anything that has that. Is it diphthong they call it? Yes, it's diphthong. If any of you knows linguistics. So TH sound, this thing is a thing, theory. So it's not theory, it's theory. Efiko Bralade. My parents already spoke perfect English, but I used to feel like it was my dad's thing because my parents studied in the UK. My dad would speak Queen's English, but we had so many other cousins, older aunties, house staff living with us, so they would speak Pidgin English a lot of the time. And I would also do what? I was a master. As you can tell, I'm still a master. So I mastered Pidgin English. But I always knew my dad, when he would, if it's even the woman selling roasted corn by the road, if you hear my father's Pidgin English, excellent. If you hear his Ijo, excellent. If you hear my mother's Yoruba, her Igbo, excellent. She will just be speaking it like this. But I found out that I'm supposed to be using TH a certain way. Balade came to school the next day. And guess what Balade was saying? She was speaking the man, the this, the mother. My friends now say, why are you talking funny? Why are you talking funny? I say, that's how the teacher said we should use it. And from then on, many people who I went to school with were always like, this brala there. I didn't just learn it to pass. I learned it to change my life. One day I was telling my dad, yes, okay, I used to do my glasses. I've always been really independent. So I would go to town because I used to break my glasses. I'm wearing contacts now. It used to be hard for me to see. So I used to break my glasses. So I would go into town, go and make my glasses. I knew these Igbo guys. They were not optometrists. But if you say apprentice, they had mastered the art. So I'll go into town. Maybe I was 18 and do my glasses. So I now took my dad's glasses now broke. He couldn't get an appointment. I think it was a holiday or something. I say, I know the people that can fix your glasses and stuff. He said, okay. Send me his number. So I said, yeah, Desmond. I've sent you Desmond's number. My dad said, it's not. He listened to me say it like 5 times. And he couldn't take it anymore. He said, it's not Desmond, it's Desmond. I say, no, it's S. What are you telling me? My dad was an English professor. S is not Des, it's Des. And he said, every time, the laws of English is this, every time you see an S before an M, it's actually pronounced as Z. That's Z if you're in America, Z if you speak British English. That thing confounded me for days. But this thing happened over 20 years ago. I've not forgotten. Every time I see an S before an M, it's Desmond, Jasmine. You know when you say Jasmine, you can't say Jasmine. You can't say it. Okay, I remember when they told me Thomas. Did you know that Thomas was Thomas and not Thomas? Remember me, I had master TH. So I was carrying my TH into Thomas. So I would say Thomas. I thought I was cool. And this Oyibo woman looked at me, my pastor then in Northern Ireland, and she said, no, it's Thomas. I said, no, you're missing the H. It's right here. I was doing the best I knew by the light that I had. The best I knew by the light that I had. But because of the people I surrounded myself with, perfect illumination. Remember Revelation, the number 2? Perfect illumination, seeking more of the truth. Okay, you have mastered the TH sound umbrella there, but it doesn't apply everywhere. Okay, what are the exceptions to this rule? And I'm looking at it. All right, Jewish TH is just T. That's what it is. Thomas. I started saying that. Later, I was saying combing, climbing. And they said, no, if a B comes after an M, is silent. You can't say, oh, I could have said, well, that's for English people. It doesn't really matter. No, doing your best by the light that you have. Now, I had light, climbing, combing, I had that light. And let me tell you the way you know you have mastered something is when you start teaching it. And those of you who are here, who I've ever spoken to you about your communication, just say me in the chat. I would not only just say it for myself, I would communicate it to others as well. Oh, did you know? Of course, learning to give feedback, learning how to elevate people instead of diminish. Not, hey, what did you just say? No. More perfect illumination. Oh, is this how you give feedback? All right. I let them finish. And then I mention, hey, this is actually pronounced this way. Sometimes I even do practice with them. Do you know this is why I don't let people call me Bralade? If you ever call me Bralade, I would tell you again. Why? Because I determined to be excellent. If I'm pronouncing your name wrong, I think I just even spoke with Asa this morning and I said, Asa, am I getting the name right? It's important to me to always more perfectly be illuminated, have deeper, better revelations of what I am saying, of what I believe, so that I can correct it. This is telling you, no matter how humble you're calling, don't say, oh, I'm just talking to this small class. The day I'm ready, I will go. No, you will not be prepared. He that is faithful in little, somebody put it in the chat. And tell me something unique about that verse. Has any of you ever seen that verse? Feel free to unmute and share. What really stood out to you from that verse in the Bible? He that is faithful in little will be. Is it will be? And you guys know we're here together. I'm not just speaking to myself. He that is faithful in little is faithful in much. Why didn't the Bible say will be? Is that not interesting? Because usually we'll think that, the way you're now speaking in these small rooms, don't worry, this is how you keep mastering and mastering yourself till you get to know. If you're faithful in little, in the exact same way, in the exact same space, you're also faithful in much. That's why sometimes you see a pastor say that every time I speak to my audience, I speak like I'm speaking to 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people. It's the people who do that that really hone their craft. And wherever they show up, you'll be like, wow, how did you get here? Because sometimes people think they're saving their wonderful performances for somewhere else. But you don't know that somebody is watching you here who's able to take you there. But the only way they can take you there is by seeing you perform here exactly what you're supposed to perform there. When I started saying this thing, I think it sounded a little prideful sometimes when I said I love speaking. I can speak anywhere. I can speak to one person, or I can speak at the United Nations. Like now, if you open the door, say, brother, start going, this is the United Nations. Address the presidents of the nation. My voice will not be any different. So sometimes what I get from people is, oh my gosh, look how you spoke at that place. But you know me, this is how I always speak. They're like, yeah, but I didn't know this was how you would speak there. I would still be funny. I would add some of my culture. You would learn something new, minimum. You will learn how to pronounce my name. I'll teach you. We will laugh. It's just what it is. He that is faithful in little, he that is excellent in little, she that is present in little is present in much. Yeah, okay. It was matter of fact. Yeah, Judy saying that it's sure that if you are faithful in little, you'll be faithful in much. Yeah. And right after the conversation is true. He who is dishonest in the converse is true. He who is dishonest in little is also dishonest in much. I think we shared that last time. It's just a small lie. It's not anything. I was trying to buy this course online. So I was searching. I think they weren't, I didn't know where to get it. So I now saw it. As I kept searching, and I saw $22 here. And then I saw $2,000. And I was like, why? It turned out that people had pirated this big course, right? And they were selling it for really, like, people in Laos or Vietnam, somewhere like that. You could buy it, they will give you the Google Drive. And then this person here in America was selling it for $2,000. My sisters, was I tempted? Even now, as I'm talking to you, I'm still tempted. I'm not even going to lie. Maybe as I'm saying it now, I'm like, brother, don't tell them. Because if you tell them, that means you can't buy it again. The temptation, it was here like this. It was here. I was not saying, but brother, you know you're going places, and when you put your own prices on your course, what if tomorrow somebody else is selling for $1? You don't want to reap what you didn't sow. You don't want to reap what you would have sown now. Look at me. I wanted to say, no, I'm not at that level yet. Don't worry. When I'm at the level where my courses are like $15,000 and stuff, I'll worry about it. Or when I'm at the level where my courses are around all the nations in the world, I'll worry about it. No. At this moment now, I was supposed to do my best. Brethren, it was hard. It was very humbling. Even these PDF books that we forward, I wouldn't lie. The only exception I said one time was I was looking for African women's books for some of my mentees in Nigeria, and we literally could not find the books. They were not sold in Nigeria. They were not sold in. Where we get these books? So that's why if you see the Majesty of the Calmness, whose copyright has run out because it's over 100 years old, this is why we can share. But best believe, I will not be sharing with you a copy of a book that is PDF if it's available in the stores. The problem with the third world sometimes is that distribution has not reached there. And we cannot say we will not learn because it hasn't reached. No, we'll still learn. What is that thing? That's just a small thing you're just tolerating because, it's not a big deal like that, but something your heart is telling you that this is not right, this is not right. Doing our best at all times. Doing our best. If everybody really determined like this, do you know we won't have those small, we call it small, but they can morph into something big. I'm not really cheating, but I always text this guy, even though I'm married, I always text him by like 10 p.m. It's not anything really. We've not really crossed the line now, doing our best. Okay, work on this presentation is going to go to the CEO, is going to it's going to go to the group, and they send it to the group. And then they also send it to the CEO, and you're like, why didn't you tell me you were sending it to the CEO? I would have no, that's not how we do. We give everything, we do our best by the light that we have. If you give it your best, it goes to the CEO. CEO will say, what kind of rubbish is this? We will face failure bravely. We will carry again peace and strength. Our spiritual strength, state will show us up. Don't forget those things. I hope you've written them down. If you haven't written them down, someone who has put them in the chat, let people who are just joining us now, people who missed them, let them write it down. So remember the intentionality, okay? If you're intentional, number one, it will be visible. People around you will see it. Sometimes they don't see it as a compliment, or they won't share it as a compliment. They will be like, but don't they? You're always so serious about things. It's not that deep. Why are you always needing us to cross all our I's and dot our T's? You see, are you saying how I'm not doing the best I can by the knowledge I have? But let me switch it back. Why are we always crossing our T's and dotting our I's? And it will be that, but then she's very, very particular. They mean it as a negative feedback, but you know it is the excellence that you're building. Number two, they do their best no matter the calling. Nothing like, oh, we are the people who sweep the road, so it doesn't really matter. They do their best no matter how uninteresting, no matter how trivial. Number three, they dignify their deeds. Did you see that part? She should dignify what she is doing by the mind she puts to it. Oh, it's just one small Gary I made though. This soap is even old. It's not even really interesting. Why are you minimizing what you're offering? I'll be like, oh my gosh, you haven't tasted anything better in your life. You know, okra soup that has stayed in the pot that burns small. All the crayfish, all the seasoning, the flavor will now rise. That is what I'm serving you. Bottom pot, the best one. And you see this Gary has stayed in the fridge. You know, there's a way it looks. It starts to look like pounded yam. So when I heated it, I made sure I kneaded it so that doesn't it look cute? This is why sometimes when people see the way they've decorated a bar, made it into a rose, people be like, is it not a bar? Because they are thinking of Mama Sikira at the bus stop. No. They dignify their own. Dignify your own. Have you seen this Gary and granite dessert? Some people do some wonderful things and make it like that. Dignify your office. Paul said, I magnify my office, whatever you have. Whatever I'm doing, I really mean it, whatever. I want to make it excellent. Excellent. It may not be the best though to you, but for me, it will pull what I have that is best at that moment. Number four, they vitalize. Like they give energy. If you look at that part, it said she should vitalize what little she has of power or energy or ability or opportunity. Give it life. You don't look down on things. They say, come and share. I remember the days they say, come and give career talk to kindergarten people. From that day, the principal took my number and said, anytime you people are doing anything, I'm coming. You have those examples in your life. I want you to put them in the chat as well. This is your uniqueness. When we say these things, it is not for you to condemn yourself or be like, oh my gosh, that means I really need to step up. No, there are things you're currently doing like that. We're just leveraging it across. Hey, if you are not following Adeola on Instagram, follow Adeola Chukuma on Instagram. She's going to send you reels that are going to elevate your life. Oh my goodness. You will just go to a story every day. I'm just like, this is just what people just consider casual reposting. And somebody carries it almost like an assignment. You say, okay, I'm looking for inspiration. I'm looking for how to improve my well-being. Go to a story. You know, one time, one of my friends told me that, brother, the reason I didn't call you about something was because I just wanted to complain. I didn't want to really, really come out of it. I just wanted to complain. And I knew if I spoke to you, I would come out of it. She meant it as, well, she didn't mean it anyhow. She meant it from love. But I love that. When she was then ready to come out of it, she knew that she could speak to me. Do you see? Because if you speak, I will never leave you how I found you. I will leave you laughing more, sometimes maybe crying more. Something will change. Something will change. Even if it's a casual conversation. Why else are we in this world if not to influence each other? Okay? So it doesn't matter what you do. I remember when I made that, it's almost a form of consecration for me that Every bathroom I go into, I will leave it better than I found it. That thing calls me wahala. I've never done it in a place where people are not very tidy. So now I'll go into a bathroom. I'll be like, I can't use this bathroom because if I use this bathroom, I'll have to clean it. So I will start cleaning. I'm dressed in my clothes, wearing my high heels. I'll start cleaning somebody else's bathroom. I'm not saying I wash all the wall or something because sometimes supplies are not even there. But I have to leave it. Guys, the way I came in and met it, the person who came after me cannot come in and meet it the way they saw. Do you understand? It is my personal consecration. And I want to believe you all have it. Put it in the chat. Seriously. If we can't encourage ourselves with these things, if we can't unearth the gems we have in our lives that we have inadvertently been applying. Because when I said it, I didn't say, oh my gosh, I'm going to be doing my best at all times. No, something in me just like, man, you can't walk out of here. Somebody else will come and see a mess. Remember how you felt when you walked in here? Why do you want somebody else to see that too? So what is that thing? I just sent you a small distance. It's not really anything. So you can't just wrap it nice, even if the gift is $1. Give it your best, okay? Give it your best. Oh, Bodunde is my twin in this area. Okay, I love it. All right. What will this do for you? It will prepare you. It will prepare you. When people like Esther, they were bringing them to the king, it's not because they didn't see other people. It's that person that was doing there as though tomorrow they are meeting the king. You know, there were many maidens, but Esther was preparing as if they have written her name in the thing. So realize that if you start living like this, one of my mentees or as well just got a job and I said, hey, you can't dress like your peers. That's not where you're going. So when you see me, I'm at work and I have a jacket instead of a sweater. Or even if I wear a t-shirt, I'll put a jacket over it because I'm elevating it. Or I wear jeans, I cannot wear ballet flats because why am I on the floor? It's not like I'm even tall like that with other people. Elevate it. Oh, it's just an engineering company. We just wear jeans and pants. I hear. Can you have loafers that maybe the heels is like 1 inch? Elevate it somehow. I know, but you're not yet Mark Zuckerberg. You're not there yet. I stayed on this paragraph longer than I wanted to, but I want you to write on your sheet of paper, what is something that you do every day that you are going to elevate? What is something that you do quite often that you've kind of settled? You've just kind of settled. If you settled like that, it said you will not have the weak content that is satisfied with whatever falls to your lot. You've been doing that department newsletter, but nobody even knows. You're just satisfied. I've been doing this the last 10 years. You can do it for the whole function. You can do it for the whole business. You can do it for the whole company. You can host the company podcast. Rather, it will fill his mind with divine discontent. Yeah, this is the kind of discontent. It's not looking at your neighbor. It's looking at all that is within you. And it's like, we're bringing this thing out. We're bringing this thing out. Divine discontent that cheerfully accepts the best. It's not like we're not grateful for where we are, but we just accept it as a temporary substitute for something better. We're going somewhere. We're going somewhere. Divine discontent. We're not passively receiving. We're cheerfully accepting the best. We're seeing all these things as a temporary substitute. Why? Because we're going somewhere. This is why you can't do this without a vision. And on you guys are the first to hear, but on Sunday, I'm going to talk about my purpose, vision, goals, workshop, master class, everything together that is coming up in January. And I know you all will be a part of it. If you'll be a part of it, put it in the chat. Let me see your hand. Because you really can't live this kind of life if you haven't cast a vision of where you are going, of where you see yourself. Because much of this is that the pull of the vision is not so strong as to direct your actions. And then they are ever preparing for that definite desire. Ever preparing. This is paragraph 6, intentionality. Intentionality. Okay. How are you doing so far? I'm speaking to you. Yes. Yes. Later, you not say, these people, they look down on people. Can you believe somebody asked me if I was the secretary? Why would they ask me that kind of thing? Don't be angry. Don't be angry. While people do have a certain kind of discriminatory or bigotry background, how are you looking sharp? How are you sounding? Because when people walk into my building at work, I'm not the only leader in the building, no. But basically, you're my guest. You're my guest. Hello, how are you doing? I haven't seen you around here before. Welcome. My name is Brala. This I can help you. What do you need? I'm the madam of the building. It's my building. I'm the madam of the building. I'm the daughter of the building. I'm the cleaner, and I'm the VP. I'm the everything together. I'm a leader. That's what leaders do. Leaders serve. Leaders guide. Leaders direct. How are you showing up? Okay. You are. You're the face. Okay. You see this part? Oh my gosh. I think it made me cry. I cried just a little, like just a little. The tear was just here. Cindy Trim will say my tears are shy, but they're just right behind my eye. This made me cry. This made me cry. The woman, the Ini, the Judy, the Chidima, the Jumoke, who is seeking ever to do her best. She is keen. She is keen. What is keen? She's eager. She's enthusiastic. You cannot say, what you know, sometimes when you tell people as leaders, we see things sometimes, we're just like, oh my gosh, there's this exciting project. I think it will be great for you to work on. It aligns with your what do you call it, your aspirations or your skill set. And somebody will be like, when does it start? What does it really entail? I don't really know, maybe till I see the scoop. How many people are working on it? Who is the project man? They are keen. Oh my gosh, that sounds exciting, Brala there. Thank you for thinking of me. If you think it'll be good for me, I know I haven't seen the scope and all, but I'll be willing to give it a try. And if it doesn't seem like it's a good fit, at least I would be able to recommend somebody who would be good for it. They're keen, they're eager. They're keen, they're eager. There's no guy that toasted me, that me and the guy quarreled. There's no guy. There's no need to be like, who is this one, say? When people are toasting, you too. Now, wow, this life. No. Let me tell you, I admire the guys that toasted because I'm like, wow, you have good eye, you have good sense. Like, you know good things. I admire your perceptiveness because if I were a wise guy, I would select me as a wife. So unfortunately, since I cannot marry 10 people, let me honor you, Sha. But back here, sabi better thing. There's no need. Eager, enthusiastic, active. Somebody who takes personal responsibility, who's like, what needs to be done? Wide awake, that's conscious. You are aware. You know something about something that relates to this. You are believing, like you're like, okay, we can do this thing. Wide awake and aggressive. Energy. Energy for days. If they've ever called you ginger or they've ever called you energy, please put it in the chat. Just do your hand like this or put ball of fire because you know how we are. Energy, energy. And look, let me tell you, this is not restricted to introvert versus extrovert. Most of the introverts I know, they have fire. They have ball of fire. I know them. You who are here, some of you are here on this call. You know yourself. You have fire within. And it shows in the way you put your hand up to participate. Because how come you seem introverted? You are the one people are always calling when your secondary school group is getting together, when your homeowners association is doing something, when your children's school, because they know that you are going to attack this thing. Next thing you know, the person has done spreadsheet. Next thing you know, the person has formed the WhatsApp group. Okay, everyone, let's make this more streamlined. If you want to register, click on this link. Oh, they have the resource, aggressive about it. They're about it. She's ever watchful of herself in trifles, those things that seem insignificant. Her standard is not what will the world say, but is it worthy of me? Is it worthy of me? When we start doing our goals, this is what we'll talk about. It's not, oh, is it good to make $1 million? No. Is that the goal I want to spend the rest of my life doing? Is it worthy of me? Is it worthy of my effort? Is it worthy of my energy? Oh, I'm going to do the biggest party. When people see the pictures on Bella Niger, is that a goal that is worthy of me? My gifts, my talents? Is that a career that is worthy of me? Is it worthy of me? Is it worthy of the deposit of divinity? These gifts and talents that I have, this network I have, is it worthy of me? What is it just good? Or what will the world say? Because the world will admire many things that are not aligned with you. Is it worthy of me? That's all. That's all you have to think of. Is it worthy of me? When we're picking our goals, when we're creating, scheduling our goals, that will be the thought. Is it worthy of me? Now, we're not thinking, oh, can I do it? Can I not do it? That's secondary. You can do many things. Doesn't mean you should do everything. Is it worthy of me? So think about that. So thoughtful, that's the final one. There's keen, there's active, there's wide awake, there's aggressive. The last one is thoughtful. We're not on the comparison side, other people's opinions. We're on the alignment side, those things that align with our desire, our values, our beliefs. That's where we are. All right. Chapter 8. He talked about this Edwin Booth guy. You guys are doing great. Holler at somebody in the chat. Be like, I see you, Bumi Wandu. I see you, Chamaka. Hey, Chrissy, Gracie. Holler at somebody. Somebody you haven't spoken with, holler at them. Be like, Jess, we're doing this. I love books. I call you. If I don't have time like that to gist. But if we're reading a book together, we're doing a program together, I have time to talk. I do. I have time. That's where there's joy. What else are we discussing? Right here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, Grace said hello to me, but she didn't say hello to somebody else. Call the person's name and say hello. Hi, Candy. How are you doing today? Oh, God, baby. Kiss. Sandra. Dr. Tiwawawa. I have very, very incredible people in here in the room today. I'm so proud of you all. All right. Going to chapter 8. We just never permit a lower level. I hope you've started hearing some things over and over again. Just the thought that, okay, I hope you started hearing those threads. Now, Edwin Booth, one of the greatest actors at the time, is not here again, but you can put Brad Pitt here. He would never permit himself to assume an ungraceful attitude, even in his hours of privacy. In this simple thing, he ever lived his best. Has that ever happened to you before? Somebody talked to you and they were talking nicely, and they just turn back at somebody, and oh my gosh, the eyes, they fire the person. Even the voice, you just like, maybe, is this person possessed? Because I've not heard this person's voice like this before. How are you able to do this duplicitous person at the exact same time? Dr. Tiwa is a psychiatrist. Maybe she has an answer for it. Because why are you not aligned from the inside? In this simple thing, he ever lived his best. On the stage, every move was of unconscious grace. Now, when they say grace, think about excellence, right? Effortlessness, skill, elegance. He said on stage, that's how it was. So outside stage, how do you expect him to be? There was a character, there was somebody who broke up with his girlfriend because he was entering that character so much. He said, this person does not exist for the next 6 months. That is my normal life, does not exist for the next. He wanted to so embody that character that he was like, no, I'm not even here. They're like, wait now, we can be seeing Weekend. He said, no, I'm not breaking character. Even Weekend, I'm not breaking. I will stay with this character till this movie is done. Even then, I remember even R&D of Nigeria, he said when he finished acting a particular movie, he couldn't leave that role for the next 3 months. Like he had to ease himself out of it. Segun Arinze, if you guys know him in Nigeria, he said he stopped acting at a point because they were always calling him to act the bad part. So he started embodying that kind of evil genius kind of motive. You know those people now, some people, you see them in movie and you're like, this person can never be good. In fact, you are waiting for the person to be evil because you know Lebechi must always Lebechi. Which daughter-in-law is she suffering? Which person are they stealing from? Because you expect them to be that in real life. Whatever you're going to be outside. People, I think one of the things that surprise people a lot when they see me and my husband talking to each other, the way I'm talking now, that's how we talk with each other. And they're like, so where is like your inside this thing? This is how we talk. This is just how we talk. We say please and thank you the same way we say with strangers. Why is it that we treat the people around us sometimes, or we speak to them worse than, and we're like, hey, we know each other now. No, be more graceful to those inside. That's an aside, but somebody needed to hear that. So now, there were some people who were more conscious of their motives in public. Do you know, if you're more conscious of your motive in public, it means you're fighting a battle. Because if you decided to be the same thing everywhere, you don't have to rethink it. But if you are different on stage versus, you have to remind yourself you're on stage. Those who were seeking in public to undo or to conceal the carelessness of the gestures and motions of their private life. And this doesn't have to be good and bad. This can also be good and better. You knew that, okay, you could have done this thing on an excellent level, but you just spoke in a particular way somewhere. So now you're trying to hide it here. Okezi, I think I'll call on you to speak about this. So unmute when you're ready. When we were studying this part, Okezi, who's on here as well, she shared this with me. She said, this is what you've always been telling me. Okezi, are you there? Can you unmute?
Yes, I can.
Okay, please share about this part.
I'm trying to see it. Okay.
It's a part you had sent to me. So let me read it and then she'll share. The man who is slipshod and thoughtless in his daily speech, whose vocabulary basically is just anyhow. You should say this thing is tremendous, but you say, that thing now, wow. Whose repetitions of phrases, when you start speaking, you're like, or you're always using, repetitions of phrases or extravagance of interjections. I remember one time I used to say, wow, 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 wow. And I say, brother, is it that you don't know any other word? Anytime you want to express surprise. So I actually asked someone and she said, oh yeah, consider using remarkable, awesome, elegant. Come and see me. Since that time now, I've been writing in my book, more words to use. The wow still used to enter my mouth. But let's elevate. As feeble disguises to lack of ideas, that person who is slipshod and thoughtless, who is anyhow and unintentional, will never be brilliant on an occasion where she longs to outshine the stars. You see, this is the key thing. You see this word here, bold it, enlarge it, however, who longs, like this is something this person already longs. It's a desire you have, but then still being slipshod and thoughtless. Living at one's best is constant preparation for instant use, because the day the stage comes, it's not going to give you time to prepare. It's not. Okay, so now share.
Okay, yes. So we're talking about how the everyday is preparation for the big day, right? Where it's like not permissible to say, oh, today is just a casual day, like don't stress me. Where you have to present yourself in the daily and the routine, because when you now finally want to pull out that excellent version, if you haven't been practicing it, then it's going to be hard to pull it out, or you might not even be able to pull it out because you've taken every day as, oh, every day, or I have taken every day as every day in my case. Yeah.
I know I just put Okezie on the spot, but it's one of my favorite things to do because she's such a star. You guys will be seeing even more and more of her. Is the difference between living excellent and living anyhow. Accepting less of yourself. I actually don't want to be around people who accept less of themselves because they won't expect me to be excellent. I want people to expect me to be excellent. I want people to call me out, to elevate me. If we're not holding ourselves to that, we will not be able to hold each other to that level of aspiration. So as much as you're doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your siblings, you're doing it for your friends, you're doing it for your children. Okay? Living at your best is constant preparation for instant use. Lord, use me, use me. I don't know of any prayer that has been prayed more than that prayer. Use me, use me, use me. But at this level where you are, you're not allowing yourself to be used. We're praying for the stages. No. She that is faithful in little is faithful in much. This paragraph ends on a very great note. The paragraph will, not the chapter. Education is conscious training of the mind or body to act unconsciously. You find out that even this month, more the word retreat has been coming more in your mind, calm, because you've been educating yourself in this vein. So that's what will come out. It is the conscious formation of mental habits, not mere acquisition of information. I was just looking at my daughter one day. She just wore shoes, no socks. And I was like, where's your socks? I just don't feel like using it. Lo and behold, I got to school. There's one friend that is not wearing socks. And it's cold. I'm not talking about like this summer, this thing. It's just you just keep seeing it. You keep getting educated, especially if you absorb it. Remember chapter 3, the power of personal influence. You can either be the one radiating or you can be the one absorbing. But there's no how. If you allow that person stay in your life in close proximity and repetition as intensity, it will impact upon you. So realize, what are you doing? You're training your mind to act unconsciously so that the day that you are pushed, because she that faints in the day of adversity, strength is little. She that faints in the day or is not able to produce when knowledge is requested of them, knowledge is little, and so on and so forth. Because education will not come and say, okay, go and study, we have a test. If it's life, we have a test. Oh, Judy said, I even call some days lazy day. And this thing, is not, you can say today is going to be an easy day. I remember one day, since I went on vacation this year, one day I didn't bake till like 5. And I was asking myself, Ready, are you lazy? Well, I asked myself, babe, you didn't go anywhere now. And you said today was a Netflix day. So it was the plan. It's not a lazy day, it's a rest day. It's okay. It's okay like that. I just went around my bathtub and I just jacuzzied a bit because I'm just like, no, be only you killed Jesus. We plenty for there. And that's what I was like that day. So it's okay, so long as you're intentional. Say this, so that even you, when you are watching the Netflix, you are doing it with intention. You're excited. You're like, oh, this series. You will not be ashamed. In fact, you are the one who will go on Instagram and be like, oh my gosh, I just finished binging this series of 8 videos. Look what I learned. You are not ashamed because you see, that's another thing. When you feel like, okay, I'm not doing my best does not mean working all the time. That's not what my best means. My best means that whatever trifle, see that thing again, whatever trifle you're giving something to, you're giving it your best. You might as well make popcorn. Do it well. Give yourself mood lights. Let's make it a cinema. If I'm going to do this thing, let's do it right. Stay on the recliner. Recline your leg. That's what it means. Yes. Even rest should be intentional. Elevate. Elevate. Ini, that's for you. Elevate. Elevate. All right. Okay. We're making major progress. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Paragraph 9. We're almost at the end. I think you guys stretch, grab a drink of water, Somebody tell me pele. Somebody tell me do. Somebody tell me, keep going. I believe in you. Yeah. The one that is excellent, the one that conveys your mind. Tell me it. This is the longest chapter in the book, by the way. The longest chapter, because calmness is not a docile stance. It is just the state of your soul. You know, when was it David that said, my soul, why is that disquieted within me? Do you understand? Calm is just a state of being inside. It doesn't impact your action. It impacts your action, but it doesn't stop you. It doesn't prevent you from acting. It's not a docile position. It's not a sedentary possession. Well done. Well done, Adela. We'll keep going. And you guys, feel free. The replay will be here. We'll keep going. And let's keep going. 9. You know, some people worship favor and luck. Favor, that word favor, that word luck. Maybe things just happen. I'm just positioning myself. Whatever will be, however it'll be, will be, all those things. And so one of the ways in which the individual unwisely eclipses himself, that means renders himself of no importance, of no power in their lives, is in their worship of the fetish of luck. When you feel like others are lucky, but maybe whatever I try, I fail, not you, those people who think like that. Some people feel like that. What will be. In this life, you can only just try your best. You never know. They don't realize that the untiring energy, hey, look at these keywords, untiring energy, untiring energy does not mean you don't get, you don't rest or you don't get tired, but you constantly work on this goal, this thing. The unremitting concentration. When you say, I'm focused on this thing, that's what you're focused on. The heroic courage. Anyhow it be, we'll just keep doing it. We'll just keep coming back up. And the sublime patience, because patience is needed for anything that is cooking. That is the secret of some men's success. Unwavering commitment, focus, a very, very serious focus. This is the goal for Q1 of 2025. I'm going for it. Courage. Okay, the money is not complete there now, no problem. This is how we're going to do it. I have to travel to this place. Okay, we have to coordinate this. Okay, sublime patience. How far is it working? Will let's be seeing? Are people signing up? That is the secret. Their luck, in quote, was that they had prepared themselves to be equal to their opportunity. Equal. You may not think you are preparing yourself to be equal because you're thinking you're playing at a smaller field now. But I assure you, what is required for that place of your vision that you're looking at is not different from what you are doing now, if you're giving it your best. If you're giving it these 4 things, untiring energy, unremitting focus, put it in the chat. Unremitting focus, heroic courage, sublime patience, energy, concentration, courage, patience. If you're giving it these 4 things, that's your luck. You have used it to determine your luck. You've prepared yourself to be equal to your opportunity, so that when it came, you were awake to recognize and receive it. Has something ever happened to you before and you were like, surely these people, are they making a mistake? Because that's where imposter syndrome comes from. Is it me they offered this job? Do they know me? I mean, I know that I'm good and all, but this thing is high now. Let me tell you what one of my coaches said. She now started wondering, okay, what is really wrong with this organization? What is wrong with this company that they're hiring me? Because it's too easy. It's too easy. No. You are awake to recognize and receive it. If somebody who is not like this, somebody who has removed themselves from a place of power in their lives, somebody who does not have agency, personal responsibility, their own opportunity will come and depart unnoted. Why? They're still looking up to heaven. Opportunity has come. Moses in front of the Red Sea, rod in his hand. Israelites confused. Egyptians coming at them. Moses is still standing there and he's still praying. Stand still and see. What happened? Did the sea part? Did the sea part when he said that? When he said stand still and see, did the sea part? Put it in the chat if it did. Sea did not part. God had to tell Moses, Moses, my child, what are you doing? Can you divide the sea? Luck is not coming from anywhere. Your miracle is not coming. Even Elijah had to set up the altar, pour the water. It's a co-creation with God. Any miracle, luck, favor that you did not co-create, it's going to go the same way it came without warning. It's just going to go that same way. The opportunity will come and go unnoted. It will not waken that person from their dreams of some untold wealth that will just fall into his lap. And what happened? As they're looking, and this thing now, I'm telling you, like they're really praying, they're really looking. But when God said, Moses, what's that you have in your hand? Divide the sea, all those things. They were not hearing that side. They were just focused on the standstill, and today you see the salvation. Even though the prophecy was real, the Egyptians you see today, you see them no more. Even though it was real, in that moment, he did not locate himself as the doer of the miracle. He did not discern that in his hand was the rod for dividing the very sea he was praying to God for. God has already answered. Tell your neighbor in the chat, God has already answered. God has already answered. The Bible says he has given us all things that pertain to life and godliness. He is not sending another thing from up. I know we say, God send my helpers. The helpers are on the road. They are where if you are walking circumspectly, if you are redeeming the time, if you are moving as you will meet them. They are there on your path. When you see Mario jumping in the video game, jumping from one pillar to post and taking dollars and gold coins and all, you cannot pray the gold coin to come to Mario. If Mario stays and wishes, he does not jump and come and meet him. No. What happens is he has to carry his leg and go there. It is a law that will be obeyed. That's what happens. Oh my goodness. Somebody say, oh my God. Yeah, there's a lot of Bible in that space. So what happens to that person? They grow discouraged. If you're only just looking up and wondering, oh, salvation will come from somewhere, they will grow discouraged. They will envy those who they should emulate. Yeah? Why is that girl's business prospering like that? Is it not what I've been praying to God for? Discouragement will come. Because why? This discouragement does not mean that they have bad mind. No. The Bible already said it is a law. If your hope is deferred, your heart will be sick. Hope deferred makes the heart sick. That's all. You'll be hoping for this thing, hoping for this thing, hoping for it. The hope has not transcended to faith so that you can then act, because the Bible says faith without works is dead. What then happens is that the heart will get sick. Heart getting sick is discouragement. And you're unable to envy, and you're unable to emulate those that you should. So you envy them instead. And what do? Not you. They bandage their arm and chloroform their energies. What's chloroform? It's like you kill that thing within you. I used to sing. Don't anymore. Don't tell people. No. I remember one of my friends, she used to sing so much when we were on campus. So I went for her wedding in London. Oh my God, this wedding was going to end. She hasn't sung. The way she used to sing in the room, I'm telling you, Whitney Houston levels. Laila, you must sing. What? DJ, bring the mic. This was over 10 years ago. DJ, bring the mic. And when everybody heard her voice, they were like, is this somebody we already know? Because they hadn't heard it. But the rest of us, we knew. Some people have chloroformed their energy. What is that talent? Chloroform is when you deaden something, right? It's the thing they use to embalm. They use it to, yeah. And they just perform their duties in a perfunctory way. Just pass through life, just ever sampling lines of activity. Is it not this bank? This bank where I thought I would be relationship manager. Well, this I thought I'll get there in 5 years, 10 years, we're still not gone. People are just giving positions to their friends and their neighbors and stuff. This bank, they said they are this thing, they are not very serious about growth. They don't really care about people. What do? You just deaden that desire. You just deaden that. So, and you're still there. That's the worst part. Still there. So what are you doing? Just doing your duties in a perfunctory way. People will even talk. Even the manager has her favorites. I don't want to really break anything. Let me just be doing my thing and just be going like that. Perfunctory, perfunctory, perfunctory. Just bare minimum. Just trying and just not really, bare minimum. Perfunctory way. Sampling lines of activity. You know that what is really doing you is to write a book. But what are you doing every day? Posting on social media. You're scratching an itch. Scratching an itch. People will be like, oh my gosh, you know how to write, oh, that caption really blessed me. So what does it do? It just helps you for that day be able to live with yourself. Meanwhile, you know that you belong on the New York Times bestseller list. Chloroforming your energy. This is why the praise or the condemnation of man is dangerous. Because sometimes men can praise you into inactivity. Hey, somebody say that in the chat. Men can praise you into being docile. Men will praise you. Oh my gosh, Amy, you're such a quiet person. I always admire you. Every time I think of like the submissive wife, I always think of you. So what do? Next time when you want to speak up for something, you don't really speak because who you are is supposed to be this person who you don't really talk. Yeah, or Martha is here and say, you're always the last person to leave every party. You're the one that always cleans up and all. So you now make yourself be this person. Meanwhile, you were supposed to own the whole hall. I don't even know what the things are, but in truth, we're not here to sample lines of activity. We're here to give it our best shot. We're here to give it our best. Uzo Aduba, I don't know if you guys know Uzo. If you've ever heard of Uzo, you ladies, I'm sorry. Uzo Aduba, put it in the chat if you've ever heard of her. I was reading Uzo's book. Uzo grew up in this Nigerian family, tiger family. You're supposed to be a doctor, lawyer, all those things. Uzo now went to study theater. Who studies theater? If your child wakes up tomorrow and say, I want to study theater, how many of you will be like, oh my gosh, that's been the dream? Well, I pray we have become those people now. She now study. Yes, a fantastic actress, but who knew her before? Well, Uzo was doing great. At a point, she couldn't even eat. She was doing so many, what do you call these things? Auditions. No work, no distance. She will live with her sister. She will eat here. She will do secretary work for 2 hours. She will go back again, act. Finally, she started getting small positions, just acting in the theater. Not even the main character, just enough to get by. Just enough to get by. Maybe if she has one small acting job here or something, advertisement, maybe just like a 1-minute skit or something, she will get something. Sampling lines of activity. But she knew that she was made for the Emmys. She was made for the Oscars. She was made for all these things. So she had to make a determination. It's either I do this thing well or I'm not doing it. I'm not going to half-ass this thing. Forgive my French. I'm just not going to do it. And after a while, she said, I'm going to give this thing this time frame. If it doesn't work out anymore, I'm going to move on. It was that same day she said that she got her first role, her first major role. In fact, she had to say no to theater roles so that she could get TV roles. She's looking for TV roles. The first thing her agent told her is that now we're started looking for this role. You can't look back. Praise God. If you have a coach, that's what I'll tell you. You cannot accept that job. That's not the job you're looking for. Because how many of you have noticed every time that you determine a goal in your mind, something that was good before now starts to come. Sometimes the good is the enemy of the God. Sometimes the good. If it's before this 10% salary increase, you'd have been over the moon. You now say you're going for double. You now start getting recruiters calling you for 15%, 25%. And conventional wisdom will say, just take it first, just first beholding, you don't know. But we are not here to sample lines of activity. We are here to go for gold. If I'm coaching you, what we go for is quantum leaps. I don't coach on incremental goals. You can do that with your friends. Your friends, if you have really good friends and you want to build a habit, you should be able to hold each other accountable. If you don't have those kind of friends, find new friends. Find new friends. But when you say what you had planned for the next 5 years, you're accomplishing it in 2025, I'm your coach. We're going to do it. That's what we do. We do the impossible over here. I love you. You love me. We're best friends as friends should be. With a great big and a kiss from me too. Won't you say you? I love it. All right. So as we're wrapping up, realize this thing again. I think Bumi started with it at the beginning. Failure is but an episode. It's never the whole story. As you are putting effort, I know he used the word struggle. Some of you are like, God forbid, I'm not yet struggling in my life. No, you're just saying putting effort. The honest, faithful struggle should always realize that failure is but an episode. Did you know if you are pronouncing IS, you should put it as Z at the end? Is but an episode in a true man's life, never the whole story. Never the whole story. It's never easy to meet. Lie. And he said something. He said, no philosophy can make it so. Nothing like, oh, this thing is just so easy. No. Failure is never easy to meet. Because see, if you're doing all these things we're talking about, you face failure. So blind patience was put here so that you can really face failure. Courage was put here because you're going to face circumstances where you don't have enough resources or the right people. No philosophy can make failure very easy, but the steadfast courage to master conditions, instead of complaining of them, will help you on your way. The steadfast. Have you noticed sometimes, even if you're even complaining to the wrong person, they are looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Oh, the C-suite, I know I'm VP of this now, but you should see the politics. I know, madam, you are earning in millions. Why are you disturbing me? Like, you have big people problems. Master conditions. Don't complain of them. Master them. How do you navigate work-life balance? Ask those questions. Don't say, now, wow, it's so hard to be a mom and a wife in corporate America. No. How do we navigate this thing? How far? Can we hang out on Saturdays? Okay, I'll be doing my meals. Okay, when the kids go on Friday, I will do like this. All right, I'll go less than full-time to master. I'll start my own business. Master the condition instead of complaining of them. It will ever help you to get the best out of what you have. You already have something. You might as well get the best out of it. And you will never know the series of vanquished failures that give solidity to somebody's success. You never know. We all look at the air. What are you so proud of? Again, I just spoke about Uzo Aduba. I spoke again, I think last week, of Ketanji, who's the first Black female judge of the Supreme Court in America. Anybody who do you want to mention? Queen Elizabeth, she was not born with a silver spoon in her mouth, as people would think. Yes, blue blood runs in her veins, but that was not what gave her the ability to get the best out of what she has. The best out of what you have. What you have is what you have. You were not born into that family. Okay. You didn't marry that person. Okay. You don't have these kind of children. Okay. What do you have? Can we get the best out of it? Moses, put down your rod. If Moses had was a shawl, Moses, put down your shawl. If what Moses had was prayer, Moses, open your mouth and pray. What do you have? Getting the best out of that. You will never realize the price that some rich man or some accomplished woman has had to pay. The price that they have heroically paid for wealth and position. You don't know. You don't know. We listen, we don't. We listen, we don't. But sometimes this is why I like to study biographies. I want to know the story, the whole story. Everybody knows the success. That's the easiest story to tell. I want to know the whole story. And when you go speak in places now, I encourage people, speak about your failures as well. People don't know. People don't know how you felt when you started working there as a director. People don't know that in your school, even though you're a medical doctor now, you're performing surgeries, but you almost failed out. In fact, you failed out of one school, you had to join another school. People don't know. But how liberating that thing would be. Again, I don't really even blame the successful people. If somebody just believes at face value that no struggle was attached to this, then we don't know the way of success. And they always say it, by the time success comes, people forget what it took them to get there. We don't know, okay? So realize that failure is an episode. If you are a pessimist, oh my gosh. If you have that doubt of all things, if you have a demand that I just want a guarantee, I'm not asking for much. I just want a guarantee that in the next 5 years, if I do that, it will do this. Remember my Pepe? That's what I wanted. I did everything right. I even follow weather pattern, everything. We did all the right things. I wanted a guarantee. I would like a guarantee, but if you demand it, if you fear that your work will not be recognized or appreciated, I posted that thing, no likes, no comments. I know how many people I forwarded this thing to, even my friends didn't show up. If you fear your work will not be recognized or appreciated, at work, I did that whole spreadsheet, all the macros that they're using now. If you fear that it will not be recognized or appreciated, or you question the way we saw in paragraphs 1 and 2, all these things, is it really worthwhile? Tomorrow night, somebody will die and go, why are we busy working on all the work? All is vanity. See, that person will never live her best if you question these things. You would be dulling your capacity for real progress by this hypnotic course of excuses for inactivity instead of a strong tonic of reasons for actions. I call this excuses versus reasons. Reasons. Oh, why are you starting that business? Oh, because I believe people deserve better insurance plans. I've noticed that people don't have as give yourself reasons. But the thing, it always feels, oh, people I know have gone into this business, it doesn't really work out. Oh, this is the reason why it will work out, because first of all, I've set up my place in this place, I have the staff and reasons. Excuses of why you never went into the business will not work. Give yourself reasons. One empowers, the other disempowers. Excuses versus reasons. Every time you have a because, every time you have a why, check it. Is that a reason or an excuse? Is that a reason or an excuse? So give yourself more reasons. And I want you to see that now, as we're coming this way, one of the things that stands out is that it's never too late for you. It's never too late for you. The surrender to the oncoming of years. If you've been in medical school here, especially in America, you first of all do your first degree. You do your second degree. Second degree is medical school. You then you then start writing your board exams. You now have residency. After your residency, in many cases, you even have fellowship. At this point, you're like, if I never see a book in my life, I'll be okay for the rest of my life. In fact, I have student loan, I just want to work and pay off. Nobody should call me about anything. Don't even, I've seen people who are like, no, I will just work the work that pays me the most for the most time. Impact, I don't want. In fact, even if you say this one will pay me more, but this is the part there, I don't even want it. I don't even want it. One of the most weakening elements in our lives, all of us, is the surrender to the oncoming of years. Do you know how long it took me to go do my master's? I've been in this Canada how many years? I was trying to get the papers. It took 8 years. I know I couldn't work in that time. Surrender to the oncoming of years. Where you feel like, is there any need again? Brother, you are talking about dreams, desires, visions. I just want my children to be okay. I just want to know that my marriage is okay. In this life, you now start to Christianize it. In this life, everyone should just take what their lot is. Everything is not that deep. Every. Our confidence dims and dies in the fear of age. Man's confidence. This new thought, okay, all this thing right there, I say Majesty of Calmness. I mean, it's really nice. I like hanging out with the ladies. You actually speak good English. Your stories, they are so funny sometimes, you know? It's good. This new thought is good. It says that the man says this about some suggestion tending to higher development, personal development. This new thought is good. It's really good. It's good to retreat. It's good to rejuvenate and reset. It's good to be calm. It's good to have influence. It's good. It's really what we need. This world really needs it. I'm glad to have it for my children. You see that? I'm glad to have it for my children. I would have been happy to have had some help when I was at school, but it's too late for me. No, if you've ever felt this, put it in the chat. Let's don't even scope. It's too late for me. I remember when I was doing my master's at 26, I thought I was the oldest person. It's too late for me. I am a woman advanced in years. In this area of my life, I didn't start as a writer now. My major, what I really wanted to study in school was law. But you know how Nigerians are now. They told me to do accountancy. They told me to do this. Or I really wanted to study history because Nigerians like law. So I just did it. But now, I just always look back. I'm like, that was my passion. They should have done this. So that's why I'm raising my children so different. Anything they want to do, I will allow them do because what dream have you bequeathed to the next generation? Why is it late for you? You can take a 1 hour a month class in history. You can even go do that degree. Why is it late for you? It's never too late for you. You can redeem time. A blind closing of life to wondrous possibilities, so long as you have breath. Every time I see older people kind of adventuring, how many of you have seen the Netflix show, Dating Later Years or something like that? A dating show for older people. Who says that older people cannot find love? Who said that? That show, those kind of things, endeavoring in your older years, not giving your dream, your future to just the passage of time. The knell of lost opportunity is never told in life. It's never too late to recognize truth and to live by it. Never, never, never. It only requires, so first of all, realize it's never too late. Now that we have realized it's never too late, okay, you are not a spring chicken, you are not 18 years old. So what does it require? It requires, number one, greater effort, which is what you're doing here. You're staying here, you're listening, you're studying. It requires greater effort, closer attention. You've decided corporate is not for you. You want to go into business. You wish you could have done this long before. You wish that, okay, you could have done writing, you could have done art, ballet, whatever it is. It requires closer attention. It requires deeper consecration. Consecration really is just separating of yourself, putting focus on something else. But the impossible does not exist for you. The impossible does not exist for the man, the woman who's self-confident, and you are willing to pay the price. Okay, the coaching will come. You will pay thousands of dollars. You will pay time. You will pay effort. You will pay energy. You will even pay your ego when you're applying for those jobs. You're like, oh, I thought I was bigger than, or will I have to start over again? Or whatever it is, you will have to do that. Are you willing? Are you willing to put yourself out there to be rejected again in pursuit of your dream? Later in life, the assessments are heavier in progress. You know what assessment is? If you're very young and you start buying life insurance, they don't really charge you that much. But if you're over 40 and you're buying life, in fact, 40 is still good. 60, life insurance. When they'll charge somebody else $100, they'll probably charge you $500 because they're like, this one, they might soon die. The assessments, they are heavier in progress. Because if that money doesn't come in, you're unable to pay the children's school fees. If the business fails, that your husband's, whatever it is, The assessments are greater. I know you might be thinking of it, but Brad, I don't want to use, I've just been paying into my 401k. I don't want to start business. Let me just, this is my lot in life. I know I'm supposed to reach the world. I know I'm supposed to travel around building these schools, but the assessments are heavy. But it doesn't matter to you. You have self-confidence. You believe in yourself. You have knowledge. You have revelation. You have the spiritual state of peace and strength. Remember those things. Okay, so put it again. You have all those things as an agent of change in your life. You will not grow old while knowledge can keep you young. That's all. That's your belief. It cannot grow old while knowledge can keep it young. That's why everyone who you've seen doing even greater exploits, they are in some kind of mentorship, whether formal or informal, coaching program, actual study of a degree. There is something that is vivifying them, that is vitalizing them, restoring energy, giving inspiration. If not, it will grow old, whatever that dream is. So realize that I will not grow old while knowledge can keep me young. Here, this is something that I would really encourage you to sit down and study. All these Socrates that we know, what do we know Socrates for? No, if you know, put it in the chat. I knew Socrates for philosophy, for wisdom. This is so true. Thomason says, this reminds me of the saying, when you wake up is your morning. That's all. That's all. Socrates, when he was old, he learned to play on instruments of music. We don't even know him for the music like that. But it was a desire he had, and he did it. Cato, he began his study of Greek. Yeah, began his study of Greek. And the same age saw Plutarch beginning. These are some key people. If you put them on Google, you see them with the enthusiasm of a boy. Do you remember the keenness that we spoke about before? The eagerness that we used to approach this thing. The person who will do their best at all times will be keen, will be wide awake, will be aggressive, will be conscious. The enthusiasm of a boy. Now, Theophrastus' greatest work was begun on his 90th birthday. That's when he started. Now, these are older people. You can put anybody there. Oprah started building one of the most impactful networks in her 60s. The other day now, Oprah was celebrating 70th birthday. I said, wow. So I've been in Oprah's life this long like this. I saw when she started, when they were going to pull it, when they started leaving normal network, they couldn't pay. 60, when she could have ended her career as the top. In fact, would have been talking to her about her, like, Oprah Winfrey, she's a billionaire because she was the top talk show host, but she knew there was a desire that was bigger than that. To not just be on the platform of TV stations, but to have her own network and to loud the voices that she has always been wanting to loud. That's my own English too. Sometimes you can bend English to your will. These Canterbury Tales, I'm sure even if you are never read it, you've heard of it. It was the work of that poet's declining years, and so on and so forth. This Benjamin Franklin, it was almost when he was 50 that he started his really first steps of importance in philosophy pursuits. These Benjamins we keep talking about, that his money is on $100 notes and all those things. It was after 50. There are many. You see, one of the laws that we teach, or I teach, I'm going to do a book study next year. It's called Working with the Laws. But one of the laws that I teach is this law of reasoning. Anything that you decide is your goal, is your value, is your belief system, you will find a reason. You will find the reasons to support it. I can be a millionaire. You look for every reason. Even people who have been broke before have become instant millionaires. You look for the example that supports the claim that you want. I can be a medical doctor. Do people go to medical school at 50? You said oldest age of medical student, you will find it. You will find it. Whatever it is that you want to support. Have I ever seen, okay, there's somebody, there are two authors I've taken to virtual launches. This is very strange. But I saw one was a professor. Oh, this one, her own launch is coming up. One is a professor in California. I saw her book. Professor of computer science. She has written a fiction novel. It has been traditionally published. And this, I'm like, I need to meet you, ma. You have a full-time other job. In fact, it's not a full-time job. It's a brand. She is a computer science professor. You don't understand. I didn't say she's an English professor, computer science professor. She is very avid in the field. You are writing a literary fiction novel. From where, as how did you combine these two worlds? I want to meet you. That is more reason for me that on my journey to New York Times bestseller list. That's all. Anything you're looking for, you have reason. Oh, did I lose somebody? Who is it that lost everybody in their teenage and was still able to make a success of their life? You will see it. You will see. Did you go through molestation? Did you go through abuse? Who else is it in this world that went through abuse and have made it to where you will find that picture, you will hold it. You will look at statistics. There are statistics that say people who have been through major adversity in their lives, they have a higher chance of success than this. Guess what? There can be two of those researchers. One will show how they failed, another will show how they've succeeded. Which one will you pick? You will pick the one that supports your claim. The more you feed these things into your mind, the more your subconscious takes it. And that's where thoughts will start to blossom into words and will start to blossom into actions. Anything you are looking for, you will find it. This is why that chapter is very important here. This is why that chapter is very important here. When they say that Thomas Edison failed 900 times, they did not say that he failed only in one day. It was years. At some point, he can say, at least I've taken my research to a point where other people can then take it forward. No, he kept going. Remember that, doing your best at all times. And now, okay, we have 2 paragraphs left. Oh my gosh. These men did not do what? They did not fear age. Can you see my screen? These men did not fear age. Say, I'm not afraid of age. No, put it in the chat. I'm not afraid of age. Is it love you're looking for? Maybe you have even loved before and lost. Is it love? Even in this same marriage, this is how we have been the last 20 years of our marriage. I guess that you just kind of get used to people. You just know you can have a new marriage. Even though you're married to that same person, you can have a new marriage. These people did not fear age. Age is a biggest liar. Well, brother, I talk like this, but this is how I've always talked. So you think now you cannot change. Whatever skill. If I didn't know how to cook, you want to know how to cook now. Don't say, oh, I'm that person who didn't used to cook. I'm 45 now. The ship has sailed. No, the ship has not sailed anywhere. I used to always say it, I don't bake, I don't bake, I don't bake, I don't bake, I don't do mama, I don't do akara, anything that needs blending, even though I know how to cook. And I just, learning these things just made me see that, no, brother, you have more neural pathways that you have not connected. Coach Tomba is here. She teaches a lot about the brain and your identity and how to refine it, how to stretch it. Our brains have the capacity to learn new and hard things if we will let them. So I say I'm blending beans. Guess what? Will I make mistakes? Yes. I will blend the beans. Some will be watery, some will be tasteless. I always say the best thing my dad did for us, for me, to really, really show up my confidence in cooking was to eat anything I gave him. I used to go and cook. Nobody said, oh, brother, well, the ones that were really nice, they would tell me it's really nice. The ones that needed more salt, my dad would just say, oh, please, can you bring some salt? Please bring some pepper. Poor man, he will not be concocting his thing. Before you guys asked me where my mother was, that's how I also served my mother. And sometimes allow your children serve you. You are not queen mother. Tell them to lay the table for you and your husband. Sit down and let them bring the food. Why you gotta be there, senior chef? Why? Let them cook. Don't say, let me see. Have you put this? Have you put that? Allow them. I think to some of you, I shared a reel today about 2-year-olds. I don't know how this will do this thing. They're whiz, man. They did this. They cooked. They were cooking for themselves, cutting strawberry, putting it. Allow them to fail at it. Let it not work. Must they be perfect? What they gain in confidence, what they gain in practice is much more than a tasteful dish if you insert yourself. And what they can lose in confidence is not worth having that delicious meal. Again, I digress. But the path, just know this, the path of truth, higher living, whatever aspirations you have, is never shut from you until you close it yourself. Kai, I think I paused and I saw this. That is the door they there. We're not even talking now about, oh God, open the door. Door is already open. Somebody will now walk to the door and close the door. Please say not me, because you're not here in the chat. And you think I'm just facing facts. I'm just facing facts. You know, brother, we're not all the same. We don't all want to put ourselves out there. No, we're not. Feel this thing. Feel it in your bones. Believe it. Feel it, believe it. If you've ever had any friend who says they want to change their career, they want to change their roles, they want to change companies, don't laugh. Be a support. They are feeling something. Don't say, oh, you will grow out of it. No, feel it and believe it. And make this faith a real and living factor in your life. If you do that, there are no limits to your progress. You will only seem laughable for a while. After a while, everybody will want to talk to you. Oh, you see that my friend? Go and talk to her, how she did it. She will advise you. You will be that person. And even if you fail, it's okay. Is it not laugh? Laugh used to end after a while. But what you have gained in character, what you have gained in experience will only make the next attempt better. Okay? So rest calm. So your work, what is your work? Live your best, rest calm and untroubled, no matter what result comes with effort. We do this teaching that we call the 4 Disciplines of Execution. It's a book as well, and it's a workshop that I lead sometimes. So whatever results come is not your business. Your own is just your lead actions. The lag ones are just at the back. Okay, if I do like this, do like this, I expect that this should be like this. But for me to expect this, what should I do? For me to be on New York Times bestseller list, write the actual book, write a best-selling reading book, build a network, market. All of those things lead to this, but I can't do anything about this. I can do something about these points. That's what you would do. This constant looking backward to what might have been instead of forward, it weakens something. This is the second time he's writing. Have you noticed? You know, I know, even, and sometimes we sound very intelligent. I know where I really missed it in life. I know when my mates were doing this, and you think you're sounding humble, what you're doing is depleting your confidence. Confidence is like the fuel for daring. Confidence is the fuel for courage. This worry for the old past, this wasted energy, because worry is a depletion of energy, it's a leak. For that which no power in the world, nobody, nothing can restore it. I know we say, oh, God is restoring the years, the canker worm, this thing. I've never seen me say, oh, God, restore. And all of a sudden, time went back to 2010. Have you ever seen that miracle in your life? Maybe some of you have experienced the miracle of time. If you've experienced it, can I see you? There is no power in the world that can restore what has passed. It don't go. What can be restored is your belief again, is, okay, maybe what you lost can come to you anew again, but it will come either now or in the future. It's not coming back in the past. It's not coming back in the past. It has gone. Thank you, God. The one that lessens the individual's faith in it, it weakens your effort. It lessens your faith. You don't need it. You don't need it. No. So as we wrap up today, so this is the final chapter. Y'all are such troopers, and I'm proud of you. Everywhere I see nature in this book, sometimes I put the universe, I put the world. Sometimes you can even put God. But in truth, after God built, there was something he spoke to when he said, behold, this is my son in whom I am well pleased. Yeah, so if you have to drop off, feel free to get the replay later. Also, drop your insights on the group, okay? That's very important. Now think about it. Nature When Jesus was being baptized by John the Baptist, there was something that God said. Put it in the chat if you remember. God said, "This is my beloved son. Hear ye him." God was speaking to the whole world. God was speaking to a system that responds to somebody who's advancing. This is what I call nature here. Because, he was already hearing his son, so you can't really say the universe is now God. He said, "No, hear ye him." He was talking to everybody there. He was talking to all of creation. When they say creation groans for the manifestation of the sons of God, that's the universe. Some people don't want to hear the universe, but this is the nature. Nature is the system of laws that respond to you. When they say the law of seed time and harvest, what is it that generates what you have planted? God has already said those things. He's in heaven or is within us. He's not trying to work now. Oh my gosh, they planted the seed, make it grow, make it. No, he's not doing that anymore. It's gone. So nature in her beautiful love and tenderness says to man, can you hear the voice in your spirit? Weakened and worn and weary with the struggle. Some of you have tried. This 2024, like Gen Z will say, you ate. You ate. Gen Z would say that. Say, doing the best way you can. The trifle that is under your hand at this moment. You've done a lot, some worked out, some did not work out. Let's not really worry about that. Do in the best way you can the trifle that is in your hand at this moment. That small thing, send that email, write that letter, pound that yam, hang that ornament, whatever that small thing, sell that product, apply for that job, whatever that small thing is. Say, I love you. Whatever that small thing, do it. Do it in the best spirit of preparation for the future that your thoughts suggest. I'm sorry, that is in my spirit. For the future that your thoughts suggest. If I've had you do the future assignment, let me see you in the chat. Your future self assignment. Your thought has told you, we can be this kind of person. We can run this kind of business. We can make it onto these stages in the world. We can have this, we can be this, we can do that. Do it in the best spirit of preparation. Bring all the light of knowledge from all the past to aid you. All the knowledge that you've been gaining before now. All the thoughts, all the visions that you've been casting, all the goals. You look at that person and you say, how can I do this in a way that is preparing to be this person? If you do that, you have done your best. Oh, Marie, you have done your best. Number one, you do what's in your hand. Number two, you do it in the best spirit of preparation. You're not doing it for now. You're doing it for the future, who you are. And you're using everything within you. If they say it's ads they use, you are using it. There's no better example of this than my friend Tom Bright. She's in the chat. What she knows now, she will use it now. Me, I'll still be philosophizing sometimes. I'm not that anymore. I'll still be philosophizing. She has gone and applied. Does it work sometimes? Yeah. Sometimes does it not work? Yes. But do this and you have done your best. Now, even after it doesn't work, recycle, repeat. Can you do what is in your hand now to do? Again, you go back again, you do it again. Do you see? I applied for the job, it didn't work out. I feel so discouraged. You go back again and you do. The past is forever closed to you. Past has gone. I could have done this a different way sometime. If I had done it this way, if I bought those shares, it is closed forever to you. You know why somebody repeats something twice? You know that they have to drive it home. There is no worry. There is no struggle. There is no suffering. There is no agony of despair that can alter it. I sense some regret. When you go back from here, I want you to write down things that you're just going to let go. I'm going to let this go. It keeps coming to your mind, especially repetitive pictures. Every time you want to venture, you remember the rejection letter. Every time you want to venture, you remember how you spent money and how it seemed like that money wasted. Every time you want to venture, The past is forever closed. No worry, no struggle, no suffering, no agony, no despair. Sometimes you suffer so much, you're just like, has my suffering not reached? Like, is there no limit sometimes? Say, okay, this suffering has now finally reached. I've finished my own quota of suffering in this world. No. It is as much beyond your power as if it were a million years of eternity. If it has passed, if the last minute has passed, it might as well be 10 years. It's gone. Turn all that past with the sad hours, weakness, sin, its wasted opportunity. Turn them as light. We already learned that in the chapter before this. Turn it as light in confidence and hope upon the future. Turn it all in fuller truth and light, so as to make each trifle of this present a new past. It will be joy to look back to. They talk about reframing. You reframe your past. Now, when you tell your story, it's like you are happy that, this thing happened to you. I will never forget Joyce Meyer. She will always talk about her father. And, one time she said, I don't like saying this because people take it the wrong way. But she said, I'm glad that happened to me. My sister, even me, I can't say it. I still don't understand it. But I know that's a kind of mindset. That's the kind of reset we need after the past has happened. We don't do it before, but after it has happened, you see, I'm thankful that I had 900 ways it didn't work. And we learned a lot of that before. Make each trifle a grander, nobler, and more perfect preparation of the future. You are packing the book. Have you seen these book boxes now? Before people are giving book, they'll just give you. Now, I will pick out, maybe see like this, my book. I will buy a hairband that looks like this. I'll put it in the book box. I will get like a teal little trifle. I'll put like gold wrap around it. Maybe I'll put some yellow t-shirts and stuff. I will put like a cross necklace. Make each trifle a grander, nobler, and more perfect preparation for the future. The present and the future you can make from it is yours. That's the only thing that belongs to you. The past has gone back with all its messages, all its history, all its records to the God who loaned you the moments to use in obedience to his law. Nature is the one. The man says it's not me that's telling you, it's nature. Nature is telling you, you better believe and be doing like this. Because if you do like this, God has set laws ahead of you. What are these laws? The law of supply, the law of no resistance, the law of generosity, the law of forgiveness, the law of seed time and harvest. There are laws, the law of compensation. Those laws are there. If you want to know them, there's this book called Working with the Laws. If not, I'm going to teach it sometime in the new year. But if you do these things, it must answer to you. And as we're wrapping up, I'd like you to put up your hand. I'd like 3 people to share. Meanwhile, y'all are so awesome. Look at most of you are still here 3 hours later. Am I proud or am I proud? I'd like to take 3, feedback on today's lesson. What is something that you're going to do, have as a result of what you've learned today? What is an insight that just struck you? Sometimes I'm not even looking to do something, but something just strikes me. So as you go ahead and put up your hand in the chat, this should be everybody, by the way. As you go ahead and do that, and if you can, put yourself on video, but if not, it's fine. I'll still go ahead and take. But as you're putting your hands up, this is what we'll be doing. On Sunday, as I told you earlier, we'll be with Coach Tombra, and I will be handling the master class. And you all are ambassadors. Tell every single person to be here live and direct, because we're going to be talking about how to make 2025 your best year ever. The flyer is already ready. We'll be getting it out right after this call. It's going to be lit. All right. So we have Ogo now, and I know it's not only Ogo, so the rest of you go ahead and start unmuting yourselves. Ogo, feel free to unmute.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful 3 hours, and thank you for modeling the majesty of calmness, even in the way you show up for the calls. I think it's wonderful the way you come always, ready to give us so much insight. And I think for me, what really stood out was the part where he talked about the light that you have and acting on it, and then you really expanded on that. You talked about responding, how you overcome adversity and all of that. But what really struck me about that is that you might just have a little light, but if you're able to use it effectively, you're better off than the person that has so much knowledge but hasn't been able to use any of it. So that really struck me. And it's really about, like you said, it starts from the little things. If you're trusted with little, you'll be trusted with much. And so it's really hit home for me, that part about being intentional about using what you have, no matter how little it is. So that's what I'm going to be taking away and really working with. Thank you.
Love it so much. Thank you. By the light that we have, which in truth, we do have a lot of light. And how much light can you really apply to anything? Somebody said that the best decision you can make is the one you make. The one you don't make, you didn't even make it at all. But the one you made, yes, tomorrow many people might argue with it. Was that the best decision? It don't matter. You've made it. That was the light you have. And sometimes it's a revealer of how deep you've allowed knowledge to settle. If you think, like, I should have known better, well, that means you didn't know as much as you thought. Like doctors who smoke, they know logically, intellectually, okay, this is not good for my health, but they still dabble in these things. That means they don't really know. The knowledge has not become active yet. All right. So let's get our next person. Go ahead and unmute. And don't worry, if you are thinking you are the next after the next, you are actually the actual next. So just go ahead and unmute. Let's talk.
Okay, I'll go ahead and share. And for me, I think it was the beginning of the chapter where you talked, or where the book talked about the need for faith, or I guess it explored this futility of life and how we can be bound by that, especially if you're a thinker and you're just like, what's the point? Why am I stuck with all of this? What is life? It's a pot of beans anyways. But in the midst of that futility,
Sorry, what did you say
finding an
life
anchor,
is?
a pot of beans.
Go ahead, please.
But finding an anchor for your soul in the midst of all of that, and then still deciding to do your best, because regardless of what life is, it's what you have. Like also the part that says it's the part that your creator loaned you. So doing your best with the loan you have from your creator, because you're going to return it to him. And yes, so that's really stood out for me.
Oh, I love that so much. Thank you for sharing that. Your creator loaned you. It's almost like you're coming to give. Those people that had the talents, one had one had two, one had four. It's all a loan. No need for the person with one to say, oh, but you have four. No, I will multiply my one, I will multiply my two. You multiply your four. Like, all is multiplying. What was given to you, can you make the most of it? All right. Who's up next? Doing the best you can by the light that you have. Have you received light today? The best you can now is to speak forth. Okay? So go ahead and speak.
Okay, hello. Good evening, Mark. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, Thomason.
Okay, I came in a bit late. I think I mixed up time, but even the part that I have heard has brought light, right? Specifically the redemption of time and saying it is not too late. I mean, I'm someone who considers that I have made mistakes, and maybe they can in of 26 now. Getting an entry level role is hard. Is in fact they will actually put it there. If you're above 26, don't even bother applying and all of that. And it has me concerned, right? But then hearing that you can actually redeem time, it's not too late to do anything you want to do. In fact, to an extent, you are even still very young to do what you want to do. You have the time, you have everything that it takes. So I'm taking that light away. And also how we spoke about how Socrates being a philosopher, and then later on in his life is like, you know what, there's something else I really want to do, and I'm going to do it. And as someone who used to be a people pleaser, not me anymore, that was me last year, not me this year. Someone who used to be a people pleaser, I'm always very concerned. Oh, if I say I want to do this, how would people feel? What would people think about me? In fact, sometimes I would by myself suggest names to myself. How would Bralade feel if she hears that I do this? But I'm just using Bralade anyways. I know that she understands that. But yes, it always comes to me. How would my father feel? How would my husband feel? How would my in-laws see me? And because of this, we actually constrain ourselves to inactivity because they've praised us at some point, and then we feel we have to maintain that standard. So I'm taking that away. 2025 is me and myself. I am my own focus. I will focus on my focus. Thank you.
Oh my word, Thomason, thank you for sharing that. And you know, this thing you just say you use, I use it as well. But I use it in this in this super positive way. I'll be like, because who would not like to be friends to a multi-millionaire or a billionaire? Who would not like to be friends with them? I know they would love. I'll be like, my in-laws will be so proud of me when I finally hit the big leagues, when I do like this. My husband, my kids, nobody really likes the journey. But you know that your end, when you are seeing it, even you're like, there's nobody that will not love this end. This end is glorious now. So using your reasoning to begin to also tell yourself that you have support. Because you see, in this life, we care. We cannot not care what others think. But don't stop in the middle and think of that. No, everybody loves success. There's nobody that knows Elon Musk now that's ashamed to know him. I don't know why I keep using Elon. There's nobody that knows him now that is not proud of him. But there was a time that this person, you come and explain that my best friend is actually starting a company to go to Mars. They'll be like, is everything all right up there? Nobody likes the middle of the story. But reframe everything and be like, look, they're very uncomfortable because they want me to have a source of income that is steady. You know, when you feel for people, there's something called frame of reference. You look at your father and you're like, my father does not want to hear that in this life, I lazy debt. I don't know where that came from. But in this life, my waka just scatter. He does not want to hear. He wants to make sure I'm okay. Maybe because him too, he doesn't really have to rescue me. They just want to make sure I'm safe. It's natural that they'll be concerned. Knowing this frame of reference allows you to have compassion for them because regardless, you are going to go forward with your dream, but you are going to reserve compassion for people who have not seen. Remember, they're not seeing what you've seen. So they are very concerned. Even you yourself, you are still concerned. How much more somebody else watching you? Now, do they have a right to stop you? No, they don't. Will you allow them to stop you? No, you won't. But reserve that space as well. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Can we have one more person before we go? Y'all so quiet today. Why though? Is there a reason why? But like Tombra said, put it in the chat as well. Put it in the chat. Let me see. Gracie, you're here. Bumi, Bodunde, Asa, you've been here. Come on. Go ahead and unmute and share.
Right. Okay. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So it's been awesome. Yes, I've actually been listening intently. You know, it's very deep. I tell you, it's very deep stuff. You know, so it being my first time, I was like, man, this lady's out of my league. Oh, yeah.
We're all in the same boat.
I have to pull myself by my bootstraps. You know, like, wow, this is so intense, so deep, and very thought provoking. Yes, I think that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Good thoughts, though. I know. You know, they said something that the wetter the grass is, the more it's able to receive moisture. You would think that, okay, if the ground is very hard, it should be receiving it should make it easier for, oh my gosh, it's so thirsty. It should just take the liquid in. But no, the water just stands on the surface. It has not yet formulated the pores to use to, it has so caked, it has become impervious to water. But the more you keep exposing yourself and listening to this, and if you have any quantum leap goal, I tell you, you need an environment like this so that it keeps you at that place of high faith, because faith needs food, faith needs energy, strength. So this is the food of faith. Thank you, Asa, for sharing that. And we're all provoked in our thoughts. Is Gracie there? Grace, feel free to unmute. I saw your hand up.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, and
evening,
thank you
beautiful.
so much for a very thought-provoking session. And one thing that I really heard was when you said, well, if your why, what's your why for doing anything? Is it an excuse, or is it that what's your why for doing? Is it
Excuse
an
or
excuse?
reason? Yeah.
Is there an excuse, or is it a reason? So some of us, we really do things because we keep giving excuses till we don't end up doing it. And you give a very strong example about people trying to get insurance. If a child is getting insurance and someone that is in their 60s, the requirements are pretty different. It gets Herculean as you go older, but it will now be foolishness to say, oh, because I'm now older, I'm not going to get insurance. And you also said it is not too late. Also, as a woman, instead of feeling, can I do either, or you can actually give yourself reasons to do all and be well-rounded and be full-grounded instead of running away with excuses, which will always be there. And you also mentioned something around, if you have a vision in front of you, you also need to look around. You will see people who are currently living in that reality. And that comes from the scientist, the computer scientist, who is also a fiction writer. And it's just very great to know that someone can do this, and you want to get nearer to that person since it's also on your own vision board. And a lot of things that I've learned tonight, including the fact that your lazy days are not necessarily lazy days, especially if you have thought about it and you've made plans for it, even if it's just to Netflix. That is a way to rejuvenate. And so it didn't mean that you wasted the whole day. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Gracie. OMG, this is so good. And if we have one more person, has Okezie spoken? I think so. If you haven't, Okezie. Hey, Jess. So good to see you here. Jess and Bumi want to go ahead, but I'll read one from the chat. She said, Temi Tokwe is saying, being reminded that it's never too late to go for your desires. Also, not negotiating oneself out of greatness. Go for reasons to do and not excuses not to do. Ooh, so good. So very good. Also to beware of inactivity, especially when toxic environments trigger it. And this is so key because, again, remember, inactivity, accomplishing purpose is not necessarily busyness, just like hamster on a wheel. Remember that place where we talked about sampling activities? No, we're not sampling activities. We're going for activities that matter, that are aligned actions. That was one of the key attributes of someone who's doing their best at all times. But when you find out that your action or inaction is sponsored by how people are looking at you negatively, then you realize that this might not be the inspired action, okay? All right, final one before we go. All right, I know some people are at work or at home or busy in places. Again, this is December. The group is grooving. But don't they? Why are you talking to me in the chat? Talk in the outside, okay? But then they say, okay, she's had a very wonderful time. Great, I've seen it now. All right, thank you all so much. You'll find the replay out. Hey, Sunday is gonna be lit. Is Tombra here? Tombra is not here right now, but she was on here. You'll see her oh my word, is going to be something else. Don't forget, I want you to tag me when you see our post. Go ahead and repost it and tag me. It is a service. It's going to be something worth like $500, but it'll be complimentary. But I'm bringing my A game, like we're teaching a full class, kind of classes and talks I go to give at keynotes or at other organizations or companies. That's what we'll be giving on Sunday. Do not miss it. Do not what? Don't miss it. All right, I will see you on Sunday. Go ahead and drop your thoughts in our WhatsApp group as well. Don't shall miss it. Thank you, Tommy Tokwe. Don't. Nah, this is it. These are the aligned actions. Well done. God bless you. And keep doing your best at all what? At all times. Ta-da.